leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on them keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gon' stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
boys.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining. If you've already done so, do so. Drops a GM in the chat down below. Then head up top, smash the like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. Greatly appreciate it. It does warm up the algo and does us a real solid. Also up top, you'll find a link to the abstract chat as well as YouTube. We're live in both of those chats. Shout out to the GMers over on YouTube. We got Zane, Absolute Zero, Web3 Warhead. Grand rising to you as well. Teacher Katie is always over in the abstract chat, and appreciate all of our early GMers in the X chat. Mel, as always, early, even when she's delayed by petting the cat. We also have Kazi out there talking about a big launch they've got coming up. You mentioned ETH Denver. When is ETH Denver? This is one I've never been. I've talked about going every year and always have that something come up. But they're going to be launching a blockchain company at ETH Denver. Or I guess we'll be at ETH Denver. I'm not sure if they're launching it then. Looks like reveal sooner than that. But I am curious, when is ETH Denver this year? Are you guys getting the feedback just on my end? Give me an audio check if you don't mind in the chat on X, anywhere, any of the chats. Just let me know if the audio is okay. I would appreciate it. I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my end. Not quite sure what it is. I'll double check inputs and outputs. I think we're good. Looks good on my end, but no feedback on YouTube. Appreciate it. And looks like X video audio is good also. So we're going to keep riding. If it does turn and something, you start getting some feedback or something, let me know. We'll troubleshoot in real time. But that said, we got a big day today. It is, I maybe have one extremely high level brief cold open flyover, and then pretty busy news day. Pretty busy news day. Apparently, have not had enough coffee yet to get my words correct. I do have a little fun play along game for the chat this morning, inspired by the War Room activity, and actually our guy Riggs, who ETH Denver is February 17th through 21st. Thank you, Joey. So just a little over a month away. I might need to look into some travel accommodations here sooner than later, but appreciate the info. And so I'm not going to go on the Harbaugh cold open rant. That's not it. I do have one cold open topic from CES, but I will just say this on Harbaugh. I know he's made the playoffs. I know he's highly regarded. Go compare his stats, his win record, his playoff record, his Super Bowls to like Mike McCarthy. And that's all I'm going to say. Like Mike McCarthy is not, I mean, I guess he's, a good coach, an okay coach. Harbaugh's good as well. I just like he's being applauded like he's the greatest coach of all time. The guy's had Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and has not done great in the last few years. Actually, I don't think he's done much since I'm not, again, not, I know everyone's not here for football and we got a lot of other news, so I'm not going to go on that rant, but based on the timeline sentiment and people like, oh my God, how could Baltimore do this? And it was very clear, if you were paying attention, that Harbaugh and Lamar were not seeing eye to eye. One of them had to go. It was pretty obvious as an outsider, like the rumors were more than rumors. They could inside sources, like they were, I'm not saying Lamar quiet quit on Harbaugh, but he might have quiet quit on Harbaugh. Like it was, I was convinced one of them was going to be gone this offseason. And I don't know, time will tell. Maybe they made the wrong move. Maybe Lamar's never going to be elite, but he's already been elite. He's coming off a near, what could have been an MVP season. And last year, that is, not this one. I don't know. I think it's easier to replace a head coach, than it is to replace a franchise quarterback. That's all I'll say. And they just, who knows what happened, but I don't think they were ever going to make it together. So here's the homework for the chat though. We're hard pivot out of football talk. I do want to touch on one quote open topic, but while I'm hitting on this quote open topic, appreciate Dobbins and Mel for confirming the audio is good. Joey, I'm going to bring you up, but no Harbaugh talk. We'll have to keep that to the war room. I'll multitask. I do want because we got to talk about this CloneX news. We got a special guest joining us at like 8:30 today, and the task for the chat inspired by Riggs' question in the war room. I am not the Uber Eats question. That's another conversation for another day. But what is the dumbest NFT collection you made money on? Actually, I'm gonna rephrase that. Not the dumbest NFT collection. Let's just keep it straightforward and simple. What was your biggest NFT win ever? Inspired by the acquisition, or rather than Nike announcing the sale of Artifact and CloneX. We will dive into that here in a bit. But as we're warming things up, we've got a couple other topics we're going to hit on. We got a special guest, and then probably the second half of the show, we will have a deeper conversation around CloneX and an Artifact and what it might mean for the market. So I'm going to, Payne, if you're wondering why that looks out of schedule, I think we'll have more conversation around Artifact than time allots this morning after I hit this. But to warm things up, do drop your biggest win in the chat. I would love to see it. Mine, this is a little bit of foreshadowing here. My direct from like a single flip standpoint, like easily my biggest win was minting apes and all the wins that came from that. But as far as a nonsense flip that turned into a win, as I shared in the war room, mine was Funks. I saw Franklin minting Funks on the timeline, and it was a free mint, and minted 3. I think it might have been it wasn't the last one, but it was like 9,995, 9,996, 9,997. So I got it in by literally within seconds. I got that minted 3 for free. They were all 3 rares, and I think I sold the first 2 for like between 1 and 2 ETH. I flipped one pretty quickly after the run up. Then that was the era of like you mint in 3s and 5s. You get a 3-pack, one to flip on the run up, one to flip if it really runs, and then one to hold for long. I executed it almost perfectly. I might have been able to get more out of it, but I flipped one for like an ETH, flipped a second for like 2 ETH. I listed the third one that was a really rare female for like I think 6.9 ETH, and I kind of like did a manual Dutch auction. Eventually, what happened is that the CloneX vials came out. The mint vials, if you weren't familiar, these CloneX at the time, you wasn't the traditional mint. They were one of the first that you got a vial, and then the mint vial you could reveal. So the vials were flipping for a premium on secondary. Long story short, I ended up selling the third Funk for like 6.9 ETH, and I immediately took a portion of those proceeds, went and picked up a mint vial. I think I might have paid 3 to 4 ETH for the mint vial. I might have minted the mint vial. I don't know. Anyways, it was expensive mint. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 ETH. And you can see here on screen, 4 years ago on December 12th, 2021, minted this rare CloneX. As soon as it revealed, my heart like skipped a beat. Talk core memory, because we were so locked in at the time in terms of rare traits and whatnot. I was like, oh shit, this is a rare one. I didn't know how rare it was. You can see here it ended up being rarity 810, but there was only this TTN type. There was only 19 of them in the entire collection. The visor was rare. The eye color was rare. The energy rings were rare. The right click save t-shirt was the least rare, but there was still only 398 of them in the collection. And the undead DNA. So the DNA was a key thing as it related to like the future shoes you could got. There was a lot of fun speculation around the collection. The TTN type, even more rare. And I thought I was going to sell this thing for $250,000. Now, in hindsight, USD to D price today for what I flipped it for, pretty close to that. I would end up selling it, probably not the Pico top. It was one where I had listed for a while, like north of 100. I think at one point I had it listed for like 225 ETH, no joke, and might have been able to sell it. I probably had offers for close to 200 ETH. Would eventually sell it for 75 ETH in summer. It was like June of 22. So 6 months later, let the thing fly for 75 ETH. At the time, though, ETH was only about $1,000. I still have some of that ETH, but I did, after I sold it, took my family on a nice 3-week vacation throughout Europe, including a Greek Isle cruise. And my sharing this isn't to take a victory lap. It is to remind you to take profits, and not just take profits in terms of sell things for ETH or Bitcoin, but if you're grinding here, and especially if you have loved ones, it's a good time to remind you to, when you have a big win, take some of that out and go share the fruits of your labor with your loved ones. So yeah, I'm curious, what's your biggest, it doesn't have to be ETH or Bitcoin, doesn't have to be like the best flip financially in terms of pure USD, but I would love to see in the chat, drop your biggest NFT win since you've been in the space. Would love to see it. We're taking some victory laps this morning. Zane had a great story, not my place to share, but had a great story in the war room, as well as a few others, and thought it'd be a fun little journey as we warm things up for our special guest here in about 15 minutes. Joey, GM, what brought you up this morning? Anything other than hardball?
Yeah, I could talk about football all day, but we're not going to go there.
Well, that's why we're not going to go there, because we easily don't get any other topics other than our special guests if we have the football combo. So yeah, we will continue that conversation, because I do think hardball's overrated, but for another day. What else brought you up?
Yeah, so I'm not the lucky one when it comes to NFTs. Like I've once minted a quote unquote grail one of one, and all of the stuff I've ever minted over the years, it's only happened to me once. It doesn't I don't have the luck like some other people when it comes to that stuff. So the only time I've minted a one of one was actually, there was this meta during the bear where people were minting like celebrities. There was a Trump one, there was a bunch of them, and there was a Logan, I think it was a Logan Paul one, and there was like a bunch of one-on-ones of him, and this wasn't by him, by the way. This was just random people creating these like celebrity collections, and they all had weird traits. And I bought, and it was really cheap, the mint. And I want to say I bought like 10 of them, and I managed to mint a 1 of 1 of the Logan Paul collection. I think they were minting like below 0.01 ETH. It was one of those things where I was, at the time I was part of Metaverse HQ, and they had one of their members built this like mint website where like we would just sit there and watch things mint just randomly, and how fast they would move on this website.
I'm
and we're like, oh, let's go get these.
I'm
You
old
remember
enough
that?
I'm old enough to remember when Metaverse HQ not only like had, it was like the voice chat was on, I want to say like 24/7. There was people in there.
I was in there 24/7, 100%. I was in there 24/7.
And like Joey might be exaggerating a little bit. He probably slept, but there was probably several months where you could have went into that Discord, went into their voice chat, and there would have been multiple people in there talking about what they were minting. Like when
not multiple, we're talking like 20. Like there would be at all times there would be 15 to 20 people. Like the voice chat would be full.
It was every day like this for at least 6 months, if not a full year. It's why Coffee with Captain became a thing. It's why we started doing these shows, because there was so much going on that you either had to not be sleeping or you had to get a quick rundown. We didn't have the AI tools we do today to scan and give you good summaries. And it truly was insanity. It was like
I paid an ETH to join that community. I paid an ETH to join Metaverse HQ.
Yeah, different times for sure.
And I made well more than an ETH. So I have no complaints with paying an ETH back in the day to join that community. I mean, I made multiple ETH just on O'Peppins while I was in Metaverse HQ because of those guys. But anyways, I minted this 1 of 1. I minted these Logan Paul NFTs. I think they were like 0.005. And I sold it for 1 ETH. So that's my only, like, that's the only time I ever minted a 1 of 1 in all of my NFT minting history.
Well, congrats on the 101. Not all 1-of-1s are winners. The rare CloneX was a big dub for me. Another one when I minted like 10 or 15 of these, and I revealed a 1-of-1. It was actually rarity ranked number 1. I got really excited, and it's still in my wallet, and no one cares today. Remember Dino Monks? Anyone? Minted a rare T-Rex. Not only any 1-of-1, but a T-Rex 1-of-1. Maybe the greatest 1-of-1 in the entire collection. The team had good, they were about mental health, and they were actually doing some good things. It was near the end. I don't even know what day this was, but it was actually not near the end. September of 21, just didn't make it. I think they eventually sold to the Knights of Degen, if I'm not mistaken. They rolled them up. Was a 0.08 ETH mint. I did not realize that. Holy cow, I do not want to see the 10 of these in my collection, realizing I spent several $1,000s on these. And I might have made a little bit of money on some, but definitely did not flip the 1-of-1 in time. Take me back. Not just about the money and the flips. It was fun. It was exciting. There was always something going on. And trade shopping was fun. Speculation was fun. I mentioned even like the artifact, CloneX mint, and what's going to happen with these trades, what's going to happen with this box, which ended up kind of being a flop. But I think I had maybe a couple of those boxes at one point and sold those for several ETH. So CloneX treated me very, very, very well. I still have some of the, maybe like an OG. I wonder what these things are doing now today after the run up, because
the fun part, I think, was, I mean, the making the money and all the flips was fun, but the fun part was, like you mentioned with Metaverse HQ, at any point during the day, you could just go hang out with like 20 to 30 people. And while you were attempting to chase a mint or flip something or whatever, you were also having like fun side conversations about sports, life, business, the NFT space. Like there was just always something to do. Like even on X, like I remember, like you could hop into a Twitter Spaces literally every hour of the day to go hang out with people and talk about the NFT space, what was minting, what was pumping, what was coming. There was just so much more to do and so many more people to engage with. To me, that was the most fun. There was just, at any point of the day, you knew there was somewhere to go hang out with people because everybody was so tuned in.
I agree. We are going to circle back to the artifact conversation towards the second half of the show. If anyone wants to get in on that chat, I've seen a lot of excitement on the timeline. I'm pumped for everyone that's kind of supported and held or enjoyed that collection. If anyone is wanting to make a move, and like I just my quick thoughts, I think it's probably. Let me rewind. Let me start the show over. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Coffee with Captain. I'm Cap. No co-host today, but we do have a special guest joining us in a few minutes. Never any financial advice in this show. I am not a financial advisor, certainly not your financial advisor. It all can go to zero to moment's notice. The majors, the memes, certainly the NFTs that we're buying on speculation. Please don't buy something that's pumped 128% in the last 8 hours just on me mentioning it on the show. That said, I'm not a buyer here of CloneX just because I'm not in the mood to be buying $1,000 NFTs on speculation. It's just me. I do think there's a very good chance it's likely in range, just like I told Joey in the war room, that we've seen this play out before. We just saw this play out recently with Moonbirds. We don't know who the buyer is yet. We will find out soon. If the buyer is someone who's well respected, if the buyer is in the realm of a Spencer, for instance, and they tease a token, this is going to run to multiple ETH. CloneX is. Like, you can't, like, I would be shocked if CloneX doesn't at least run up to the Moonbirds floor if there's a comparable owner, if they tease a token. Like, those two things have to happen. Spencer's good. I like Spencer. He's not been perfect. And if Moonbirds can pump to where it was to where it's at now, there's no reason that CloneX can as well. The art's incredible. It's already 3D rigged. They're going to look great on the other side. I assume that's a move that'll be made soon. And there's going to be excitement. There's going to be people, to Joey's point, people are looking for things to get excited about. People are looking for things to speculate about. CloneX never launched a token. Like they did a lot of things. The monolith boxes, as I mentioned, and there was a lot that I think Nike fumbled the ball on that ended up, even well before they sold it, they lost momentum, but they never launched a fungible token. And as far as like a brand coin or a meme coin or a utility token, and if they announce that and the owner is respected, the new buyers are respected in the space, known entities, I don't see these things trading below 0.3, at least until the token drops. Now, fast forward a couple years, it could be zero, but I think it's highly likely, due to the timing, the market conditions, I think it's highly likely we see those CloneX continue to run up at least to an ETH, if not 2 ETH. I don't have the appetite to be making extreme speculative buys like that at this point, but I do think it probably, like, I would put a poly market in on it right now. I'd throw like $100 at a poly market. Where's the floor price going to be? I don't have the appetite or the dry powder right now. I'm pretty well allocated, and I am enjoying. I'm enjoying ICO season. We're going to talk about ICO 2.0 season here in a bit. And so while I do think, and I want to go hard on Mega ETH, I'm not looking to tie up $1,000 because I don't know. Now, this could be, what I don't know is the timeline. I'm confident we'll see the run up, but if we get no news for the next month or two, this is going to pull back. Like if because apparently this deal, and again, I know I'm front running a lot of our later conversation. It took place in mid-December is when the transaction closed. It just got, it just hit the wire last night and has, the floor rate up tremendously. If we don't get any new news in the next 30 days, let's say, I do fully expect it to pull back to 0.2, 0.1 maybe. Then I'm probably a buyer. I just sticking with my strategy, and my strategy is you buy dips and you sell rips. And while I do think it's likely that this thing runs up to 2-3 ETH, if all those criteria I just mentioned happen, I don't know when that's going to happen. It could be months from now. And yeah, had I saw it last night, had been awake, I'm a buyer at 0.1, 0.15. I'm just going to wait for a pullback now. If it doesn't happen, I'm good with it. I'm just not going to chase. And to me, it feels like I'm chasing right now, even though I think it's got probably a 10x in it from here at minimum. Not at minimum. Three's probably a stretch. But I mean, Moonbirds are up to 4 or 5 at their peak before they started pulling back. And I don't see why. Like what did Moonbirds have in terms of any sort of brand or legacy that CloneX doesn't? You art's subjective. You say, the pixel art is better and their brand book is better than. I don't know about that. Like it is subjective. But as far as assets go, like the digital art, the 3D rigged, like you could easily build a case too that CloneX has far more than did Moonbirds when that acquisition took place. I don't have any information about Dot Swoosh, Diego, but that's a great call out. Is it still a thing? Did Dot Swoosh die? Like, did Nike sell CloneX and then just stop talking about Dot Swoosh? I don't know. I haven't even seen Dot Swoosh or any mention of it in my timeline in probably a year now that you say that. I'd completely forgotten about it. I have a Dot Swoosh handle, a user. I think I bought a few posters or something, but literally it had completely left my brain space. Dot Swoosh, that is. The thing I have pulled up here, and then we'll go back to Joey for a quick response, and we'll get Loki in here, and then I think we might be due for our special guest. Joey, quick response, and then we'll get Loki in here before we bring on our guest. And then I do want to mention what I have showed on the screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question for you. Do you think the lack of information on who purchased it, what was the purchase price, what were the terms, all that stuff, the fact that it was done in December, do you think that lends us to speculate it's someone significant or someone insignificant? Because I feel like if it was someone, maybe there was, and again, maybe in the contract, like they're not allowed to say anything for so many days or something like that, right? Per Nike, or I don't know. But do you think it's that, like, which way are you leaning?
I'm leaning, it doesn't matter if it's significant or insignificant. Why the delay? I think it's to me, the fact it's not been announced yet, it shows that it is someone who, whether significant or whether we think they're significant or not, it tells me it's someone who's dialed into the space. They know how this space operates. They know the space thrives on speculation, and they're playing the game right. There's going to be a lot more trading and a lot more volume and a lot more royalties by keeping some things close to the chest. And now you may disagree with that. We want all the information. Privately companies, they don't have to tell you anything. I mean, Nike's obviously not a privately company, but the amount of the sale is going to be so small. Like I doubt they have to disclose anything on their financial statements. I could be wrong here.
Yeah, I would imagine they sold this off at a pretty big loss to offset some other gains.
I imagine it was already significantly marked down. What I would love to know, and we may never know, is the details of the deal. Because I was fully thinking that the reason Nike wouldn't sell is because the reason they purchased Artifact was to buy the IP, to buy the patents, and then nerf it. So they didn't have a competitor in the sneaker space. I'd be curious, did they just sell the IP? Did they sell those patents as well? This is stuff that really interests me, and we probably will get into this deeper under the second half of the show. What I have pulled up here, Loki, I've got you on deck. I'm going to go to right after I say this. If you're looking to speculate on this, again, I'm not saying you should do this. I'm saying if you're looking to speculate on the Nike sale of Artifact and CloneX, well, I'm just saying this. We'll circle back later. Even if all assets were included, it might have just been CloneX. If it was all assets, these crypto kicks here that you're looking at on screen, the Nike Dunk Genesis crypto kicks was a partnership, a collaboration with Artifact and Nike, predates CloneX. So if provenance matters, it predates CloneX. It's also a fraction of the price. They're not trading at 0.3. Rather, even after the 128% run up in the last 8 hours, they're still 0.014, less than $50. And there's been not nearly as much volume on the CloneX side, but there's been quite a few sales in the last 8 or 9 hours since this news got announced. So if you're looking to speculate, you don't want to spend $1,000, $50 is more your appetite, here's an option for you. Again, don't do this. I'm not saying go buy one of these. I do hold one. I'm not going to sell it right now. If this thing runs up to an ETH, I'll let it fly. But right now, when I sold a lot of my NFT assets, this is when I'm like, you know what? This would mean something along my way in the journey. I'm glad I took my gains on the rare CloneX I minted. This was like some nostalgia I can keep in my wallet for $50. I don't need the $50 that bad. So unless this thing really rips, I have no desire to sell. I might actually make a move on another one or two to flip, depending on where things go. Loki, go ahead. I'm going to go refill my coffee. I'll be right back. I'm going to bring Machiavelli up here as well. And then as soon as we will be coming back to this conversation, but we got a special guest scheduled here any minute. If you're out there throwing requests, I can see it and I'll bring you up on stage. Loki, GM, our resident NFT guru, what's your thoughts on this big news out of Nike and CloneX?
Hey, Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year, GM. Yeah, I mean, I lost the first part of the show. I don't know if you guys already speculated who the possible name behind this acquisition. Have you guys went through the names already? What are the names? I don't know, but okay. Let me throw some names that came to my DMs or I read.
Yeah, please do. Sorry, I had stepped away. I was refilling my coffee. I wasn't ignoring you, Loki. We've not speculated. I've not seen, not even heard of any names. So yeah, please give us your alpha. Who do you think is the only one? The first one to come to mind that I've seen people talk about was like, oh, Adam Weitzman, the king of NFTs, our Lord and Savior Adam Weitzman is a possible buyer. While I get it,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think it would be.
You can't buy everything.
Well, and I think it would actually probably be. It'd be not saying it'd be a death blow, but I think it would be a blow to heavy metals and everything they're building there. It would. The reality is, CloneX has more clout and recognition than does heavy metal at this point, and I don't think I don't think he would take that attention away from heavy metal. Now, I think it's probably in range that he goes and buys a rare CloneX today or in the next month, but I don't think Adam's the buyer. Who do you think it might be?
Yeah, so today, reading, scrolling the news, receiving some DMs, my first option would have been somebody close to Yuga. At the other side, potentially Amazon. There is a tweet from William, the Amazon Web3 guy, very active in the space. He was talking about CloneX back in December, but this is like a very, very wild speculation. Then somebody told me actually in December they had a private auction, closed auction, super secret auction, and Machichi brother got it. That would be insane. If it's really happening.
Wait, who was
really
who was that? You cut out there on me. Who?
Machichi big brother.
Oh, Machi. Interesting.
Machi.
So do you think that would be a positive or negative for CloneX if Machi was the buyer?
I think okay, let me finish the option, then I tell you what I think. The last option that actually sounds more realistic, but personally the less bullish is the former team getting it back. And by reading the comments, there is the Artifact News guy, the Twitter account that was sharing this news. So somebody from the former team were commenting and kind of replying like they're still on the team. They say, okay, on it. We got it, what you guys want. It sounded like, okay, we're going to work on this. I mean, it can still be a different owner than putting together the whole team. Or maybe it's really just the CTO team or the former team getting back somehow the project. And this to me will be the last bullish option. Machi would be fun.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see. So I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't know all the details surrounding it, but I do believe one of the founders is no longer with us. One of the founders tragically passed away. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So I don't think the founders would be back in play. Either of them. There was multiple, and I apologize for not knowing the details and the names here. I mean, no disrespect at all. My thoughts go out to anyone that was close there. It was not Benito, but the other one, if I'm not mistaken. I feel awful that I don't know these details or cannot remember the details. So apologies for stumbling here. I just sensitive topic, and I should be better versed on it. My apologies. I do think it's possible that it's not the founders who. The reason I also don't think it's the founders is they booked a huge W. I mean, my understanding is this thing, like what came out when CloneX sold to Nike, the number was like people were saying it was on par with like the Yuga raise. Like I heard anywhere from hundreds of millions to upwards of $1 billion. I don't think that was the case. It never came out publicly, but I do not think the founders would come back for round two. Just my speculation, my opinion. However, I think Samuel was one of the team members who have seen talking about in the timeline. Does that ring a bell, Loki?
Yes, I
Not
think Samuel is the one who made the CDO, right? And the one who commented under the account Artifact News.
yes.
And he kind of replied like is working on Artifact right now.
Yes, correct. And he really he never lost the badge. He was the former CTO at Artifact and Nike. He ex Google, was a CEO at Shadowbreak International. Not sure what that is. I'm trying to find. Maybe it wasn't. Oh, okay. So yeah, here's one. He says this story shall continue. I think I also saw a post where he said that the badge, even though the badge is still there, he's not part of the team. He wasn't part of the team when Nike sold the badge; just never went away. So you can see Samuel is still rocking an Artifact badge. He said he quote tweeted the Artifact news article. It says breaking news in a stunning turn of events. Nike has sold Artifact. The buyer, in terms of not yet been disclosed. A new chapter unfolds. Let's go. Thanks to Clone Dreams for the heads up on the article by Oregon Live. And good news, bad news, just news. Our special guest today, I will give him a plug. I will give him a shout out towards the end of the show because they do have they're going live today. So I knew it was a busy day. It was kind of a last minute trying to get this together. Shout out to Prince for the hookup. We will be bringing them back on at a later date, but they've got a ICO season 2.0 kicks off at 9 a.m. today. So we will touch on that later. We'll bring them back. But the part of that news is we don't have to pivot and would make sense just to continue the Artifact conversation now. So here's what we'll do. Quick reset, and then I'll pull up this article. If you just jumped in, if you joined in for the Artifact Nike news, welcome. I'm Cap. We run Coffee with Captain here every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, usually to about 10. Often we'll bring on a special guest around the 9 o'clock hour. We cover trending topics, news of the day. And if you're not yet giving us a like, repost on the space, it's pinned up above. We're also live streaming over on Abstract as well as YouTube. And appreciate y'all being here. We will. So this try to think which direction to go here. Let me do this. We're going to keep talking Artifact. The other things we will hit on today, we will talk about ICO 2.0, what I was referencing there, as they go live at around 9 o'clock. I may hit on Trove. Ranger ICO also goes live today. So probably towards the end of the half, Aligners Labs. I think I'm saying that correctly. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing it. That's who's going live at 9 o'clock today. So we'll spend some time over the second half of the hour talking a little bit about that. And if we have time towards the end of the show, I saw a couple of interesting things that, while not necessarily directly blockchain related or crypto related, it is AI related. And I when I see this sort of stuff, I just can't help but think like the intersection is very real, and they'll be adjacent, if not connected at some point. But I saw, especially when we talk about dead internet theory, I saw an article about dead internet theory, as well as we've entered the era of AI doctors and soon to be AI surgeons. So more on that if we have time today. But sticking with the news of the day as it relates to our beloved NFTs, this Artifact news is you're going to hear a lot of people talking about it. We're going to be speculating a little bit. We don't have all the news in full detail. What we do have is this article that came out of Oregon. If you're wondering why would Oregon Live be talking about CloneX, it's because Nike is headquartered in Portland, Oregon, and this is the local business publication. So this came out of the Nike world more so than the crypto or NFT world. I've got the article pulled up here on the screen. I will share it or pin it to the top in a second. Joey, go ahead and get back in here.
Yeah, so I think just personally, I think the most bullish thing for CloneX would be somebody kind of new, somebody that's never owned and never run an NFT collection before, never launched a token before, but is respected in the space. I think, recycling the kind of same people. I think we're kind of tired of seeing the same people get recycled from collection to collection or meme coin to meme coin or whatever it is. Like prior to Spencer never he ran a fund and had Orange Cap Games, which was associated with Pudgy Penguins through like the IP, but he had never owned or founded an NFT collection. He had never, to my knowledge, launched any type of token or meme coin. He came into it as someone with just, the type of intelligence and experience and capital to do something quote unquote different or interesting. So, I mean, I think I have nothing against Machi. I don't know him personally. I don't think it would be bullish if Machi bought them. I don't think if the previous founders are involved would be bullish. Also, I don't know why they would if they made as much money as we think they made, why they would want to get back into the space and deal with all those headaches again. But I think that's how I think the most bullish would be with somebody who has the experience, has the capital, but hasn't already done it. So it's like a clean slate that they're starting with.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I can see both. I can see both. I don't think it's a Yuga, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it's an existing NFT PFP native brand, would be my guess. Maybe so. I really don't know. I'm just guessing. And I do think for the momentum of the collection, for any sort of positive price action, I do agree with you. I think someone who's a known individual or known individuals that are respected, but yet not having an existing NFT PFP collection, I think it's just cleaner. And I think that would probably be better received as far as the market's perspective than would a Yuga or an Igloo or a fill in the blank. While we're talking about acquisitions, I've got a really hot one, and it's going to throw a wrench into things here, so I apologize. We're going to get right back on Artifact. I just got to get it out of my brain because someone said it yesterday. I'm not even going to credit them. Both, I don't remember who said it, but I also don't want to I'm not going to out them because it was said in the war room. Someone's bold take yesterday was that by the end of 2026, Burnt Toast will have sold off or sunsetted the Doodles collection. Not the art. He'll continue to make Doodles art, but as far as leading we might get our second floor and get the F out from that team. That was a take. It's not my take. I'm just repeating something I hold, and it clearly stuck in my brain so much that I had to yell it out this morning on the show. Completely unrelated to anything else we're talking about, but we are talking mergers and acquisitions, or acquisitions anyways. So it is at least somewhat related. Some people also mentioned Herman Narula from Improbable. I'm not so sure about that either. I will say this: whoever's the buyer, I hope one of the first things they do is get those avatars live on Other Side. There's no reason they shouldn't. They're rigged. They're ready to go. I don't know what exactly sort of tech lift that takes, but some of these avatars would be fire in Other Side, and you also give your community something to do. One of the things, Eric, we'll go to you here in a second. One of the things that got me really bullish on Artifact, on CloneX, in the community, and I'm sure some of them stick around. I'm sure some of them still are holders and brand ambassadors. But at one time, I was very confident in saying their community was the strongest community of digital artists in all of crypto. Like, incredible. This is pre-AI. This wasn't like AI slop that people were, no offense, that they were throwing into some LLM and saying, create this for me. These were real 3D designers, 3D artists, and they were doing incredible stuff for their own assets, for the community. Like, it was, I don't even think at the time, at their peak, I don't think anyone could even question it. Like, they were number one. I don't know who I'd even say was number two in terms of the quality and the quantity of 3D artists that were in that, and not just the employees of the team, that community. They did an incredible job of attracting insanely talented 3D artists. And so I would love to see whoever the buyer is, they bring back that culture, that community base, and get them in Other Side, and get, like, that's a sort of like PvE and like collaboration that I think would benefit the space somewhat tremendously. Eric, go ahead, and then we'll go back to Joey.
Yeah, actually, that was one of my first speculation as well. Improbable, but I think what happened is Improbable actually sold off their Other Side division, who actually is the team who makes Other Side, to Yuga. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So maybe this coincide with the move. I do know some insider information because I did talk with Paul and Herman about CloneX when I think it was almost 6 months ago, or I think in June, when Samuel said something that no, actually it was more than they sunsetted. I think it was the beginning of 2025 or mid 2025. And because I work for OFR Fund and we acquired OnlyForce, we bought out them from the old founders, and then I reached out to CloneX, and then they put me in touch with Nike, and then other stuff I can't say, but then they were looking for a proper buyer. It's not someone with just money; it's someone with expertise that will won't do harm to the brand. And we can see like even Murakami still has his CloneX on his PFP, so he never gave up. So we know there's some stuff going on, but we know all I can say is Nike's looking for a very suitable, not just anyone with money. With I'm not sure who it is, but someone that won't do it wrong. That's all I can say. But I don't know who it is, but I'm happy it went forward because they were looking for this for ever since they sunset it, I think.
It's awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing, and that is I'm hopeful that is the case. That would be exciting, and
because that if CloneX goes on the other side, it is perfect. Like everything is there, is rigged. Like Yuga, we waited for 3 years, so technically for the apes to come on, and the mutant. No, the apes was like 2 years, and the mutant took another 2 years to get on the other side to get rigged. But CloneX is already done from day one, and I was a CloneX holder near the beginning. I couldn't mint it, but I bought it at like 10 ETH, I remember. And it was one of the best. Like they gave us tools to work with, and then of course we got the space pods and all the airdrops back then of the monoliths, and they were one of the hottest ones out there.
Yep.
Besides Yuga, and besides apes, and I'm sure a lot of people still remember it as the pinnacle of 3D and anime. And to be honest, I think when Nike bought it, it was kind of like everyone was like, oh, when is the next biggest brand gonna buy something, acquire something? And in a way I think it did it good in a way, but also at the same time, maybe big corporations have their own they have to look after revenue, they look after something, so they kind of like sunset it after they did the dot swoosh era. So I'm happy that the IP will go somewhere that will be good. Maybe it's Murakami himself, I don't know. The guy's a big collector in many different things, and he does collaborations everywhere. He's I think Japan right now is doing something very big on opening up their social media. I'm not speculating, maybe they bought it to help push Murakami out, because his art is all over the PFPs there. And they're
Go ahead.
They are even, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
No, I cut you off. Finish your thought. My bad. I thought you were done there, Rod. Go ahead.
Yeah. Finishing off is like they are trying to push out. Japan, their social media. They're always been a bit more closed off culture, but they're with the new prime minister. They're opening up a lot now. On bringing more people to come in, and not just anime now. Maybe PFP with CloneX is a good way to come back in. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Interesting take. If I was real good at this hosting thing and really wanted a rage baiting or clickbaity title, I would change it to Murakami buys Artifact CloneX, but I'm not going to do that. But you'll probably see a space that just title that here in a bit, because that's an interesting take. And you're right, he's everywhere. Like I saw there's a Murakami collection at Ulta about, I don't remember what it was, like perfume or something maybe. I'll find the picture, but
LV, I think he did it. He's doing everything. He's doing a lot of things, Murakami. The flowers.
Yep, the flowers. It was definitely the flowers, but I think I wouldn't put my bet on Murakami or his team buying this collection, but certainly in the range of outcomes due to the, if you're not familiar, there's, I don't know how many in the collection are Murakami, but those are also one of the uber rare ones and ones that maintain value due to his prestige as an artist in the real world, well before Web3. I have this article pulled up here, and I find this interesting. The last paragraph in the article, I quote, "An investor filed a lawsuit against Nike after it announced its plans to shutter Artifact. alleging the company caused the rug to be pulled out from under the value of the company's virtual sneakers. Nike filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit in December. I wonder if initially Nike had no plans to sell this collection. They were just going to write it down and take it to the grave. And then lawsuit pops up and they said, you know what? Let's wash our hands of this thing. Let's sell it. And then we'll file a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, because the sale and the motion to dismiss both took place in December. I am just connecting some dots that may not exist. Well, the dots exist. The connection may not exist. So take that for your own worth. I have no idea. I'm just purely speculating. But this article here, there's also one of the other funny things that I have to call myself out on. It opens up, Nike sold one of its subsidiaries, but not the one on the minds of some analysts and industry watchers. That is actually Converse, is what analysts, they've reported in December, 30% drop in quarterly sales, leading analysts to wonder whether Nike would sell the brand. So that's what everyone's talking about. Probably some disappointment among Nike shareholders that it's not Converse, but rather Artifact. There's also, it's important to note that Elliott Hill is the current CEO. He's been there for 2 years. He's refocusing the company on sports and rebuilding partnerships with wholesale partners like Dick's Sporting Goods and Food Locker. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me? Foot Locker. This is what I get for eating breakfast now. We're another war room conversation.
Food Locker.
I was never a breakfast eater. I was an intermittent fast every day, and now I can't skip breakfast. It would be sacrilegious to pass on the Arepas. So anyways, John Donahue, the former CEO, was the one that acquired Artifact in 2021. But this is what I wanted to point out. They make sure to educate everyone. The company last month quietly sold Artifact, pronounced Artifact. The sale came roughly a year after Nike shuttered the subsidiary. I don't even remember how I was pronouncing Artifact for like the first year I was in this space. Like before CloneX, Artifact was like, someone could go find right now. They did a design of like, it was Artifact sneakers with like Bored Ape Yacht Club apes on it, like shortly after apes minted. There was like black and white sneakers. I can see the image in my head. If anyone has, I'd love to see it. Drop it in the chat. Artifact was like, they were OGs like that. It wasn't just that Crypto Kicks. Actually, do you know where this thing came from? That original Dunks sneaker. I have 100 bonus points if anyone knows without looking where that original Crypto Kicks Dunks came from, because that again predated CloneX. It was not you didn't mint it by yourself. It came as a part of something else. That'll be the only hit I give you. But I've got 100 bonus points if anyone guess where those sneakers actually came from. That entire time when I got those sneakers, probably it might have been after CloneX minted when I actually learned that RTFKT was pronounced Artifact. I don't even remember how I was pronouncing it, but it definitely was not Artifact. I was such a boomer. I didn't realize that all they did was remove the vowels and you pronounce it just like it reads. Actually, Artifact, it probably taught me how to read Zoomer more so than anything else. Zoomer and Gen Alpha, when you just remove the vowels and you go Joey consonants. Joey, back to you. How are you pronouncing Artifact originally? You probably got it right due to your name that only consists of vowels.
Well, in the DJ space prior to 2021, there were a lot of DJs that were making up names like Blau and Antoine. His name was AN21, so Antoine. So I actually had some experience with DJs doing fun things with numbers, and so I actually did pronounce it Artifact. But I raised my hand because you mentioned Converse. Would you be I personally would be sad to see Converse go. I mean, Converse was like my childhood, right? Like how would you feel if Converse disappeared?
So I don't think they'll disappear. I just think they'll sell to someone else. I think Nike will sell them to
But
someone
who
else.
would buy them though? Like who would buy Converse?
Anyone.
But like, would it be? I don't think Reebok would. I don't think Under Armour would. Like, what big shoe brand out there would be like, sure, Nike, I'll buy Converse from you? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know because I'm just not close enough to that space. By the way, here's my funny snafu this morning. No one cares about this, but I'm going to share it anyways. The coffee pot broke. The coffee pot just stopped working. Pushed the button, it's not loading. So went to like the old school, like slow drip coffee. I'm probably not calling it right. And as a coffee connoisseur, I should know this, but it's 8:55. I put on water like at 7:55. So I've been boiling water to make my coffee for about an hour. And what started with enough to boil a pot of coffee, it was like a couple drips. So luckily I didn't start a fire or burn a dry pan on the oven. But yeah, that was my, that's why if I'm stumbling my words, if I mispronounce something, it's because my coffee is a little bit slower coming to me today because I tried to boil water for an hour. Don't do that. But to answer your question, Joey, Converse, I'm sure it's, you want to talk about like IP. It's kind of like, I mean, similar tied to this. It's sometimes things are just better with a fresh start. Sometimes things are better with a focus. Now, if it's another big shoe brand, this is going to be one of their brands, probably doesn't change much. If it's a shoe startup, I don't even, again, I'm not close to that space, but like, I guess the last couple of shoes that I bought that weren't Nike or some legacy shoe brand was like On Cloud or Hoka's. I don't know how you pronounce it. If there was one of these like fitness shoe,
you got it right. Okay.
If there's one of these fitness shoe brands that wanted to get into another vertical in the sneaker space, like I can see that happening, but I really don't know. I am more curious though, what's going on with Dot Swoosh. Someone brought that up. I did check the last post. Well, they retweeted something on September 11th. They posted something on September 11th as well. We linked up with Upcycle designer Brandon Josh in Paris to see how he would style the Air Max 95 Joeys. That was the last thing that came from Dot Swoosh. So did they quite
that sneaker collection you mentioned is already, the coffee with Captain Pump is real. It's up from
still got it
0.15 to 0.02. So it's already up like $15 from when you said it was $50.
And I said not to buy at 0.35, and it's already pulled back to 0.29 on the CloneX. So there you go. You got the coffee with Captain Pump and the coffee with Captain Fade all in one morning. You're welcome. I hope someone made some money on it. Please don't rush out and I was serious, but I'm not. Like, this is not financial advice. Like, it very well could be nothing. It is. I'll quote Zonko in the chat. It's like, I've got a little OG crypto kick, but I'm not playing. It's one. I'm not planning to sell anyways because it holds some nostalgic memories for me. It's still fun. Like, I'm pumped for everyone who was sitting on a CloneX and thought, hey, maybe someday something will happen. And then something happened. And now you get a 3X overnight if you want to sell the thing. Or I'm betting there's a lot of those holders that are now more excited than the pump is that the brand that they loved is going to get another shot. It's not just going to be art on chain. That's exciting. I like this part of the. I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it than just speculation, because it is speculating, but it's like the.
I mean, is it kind of how, like, making fun of Steve here, but where like the Cleveland Browns sign a big name coach and hoping that they're going to win more than 3 games and then they don't?
You probably. Unknown, hope, optimism, speculation. Zonko says having a bit of speculation back in NFTs is great, even if I'm sidelined on CloneX. I feel the same way. Like, this is not a me bags excitement. I'm not selling the one pair of dunks I have. I already took a big victory lap on my OG CloneX. But I have genuine excitement for everyone in that community, especially the artists, the creators. Like, this was part of what, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it is just tapping into nostalgia and the good old days. Very well could be. Like, positive spot in my brain and mind and heart because I had a massive, 6-figure win on the collection. That's a big deal. Like, it's hard for me to be mad or upset. Like, when they shuttered, like, had I bought that thing for 75 ETH and then Nike shuts down, probably been pretty pissed. I probably feel a lot different about CloneX today. So my personal journey absolutely impacts my feelings on this collection and the excitement and the speculation. I get all that, but I'm not. This isn't a like today bags things. Like, I stand to gain essentially nothing on this, but I'm still excited. I'm really excited for the holders. I'm excited for the community. I'm excited for those creators. And as a content creator, as a commentator on crypto and in particular NFTs, it's exciting. This is probably going to lead to more talk this week of other mergers and acquisitions. In fact, I'll ask you, what is the next collection you'd like to see sell, and who would be the ideal buyer? So we've had Moonbird sell, that did well for the community, the collectors. CloneX, to be determined if it continues to do well, but overnight, the sale very well received. What is the other collection? What's the next collection you would like to see sell? I don't know my own answer. I'm going to think about it as I hand it back to Joey. But yeah, I am curious. Let us know in the chat, or feel free to join the conversation up on stage if you'd like to get in on this. Risk Brian is responsible for that coffee with Captain Pump, says he just bought a Nike Dunk for $50. Joey, I'm going to hand it to you, but normally I don't do this. I said I'm going to stop letting you guys know when I go take a mobile stream drop or go refill my coffee. I've done it twice this morning, and both times someone asked me a question back as I was away from the mic, and I had dead air. So I apologize. I am going to disclaimer again. I'll be right back. But I'm going to try not to boil the water for 60 minutes this time. Joey, if you're done talking, Proof of Alpha Degen, I'm looking at you. The co-host, the temporary co-host seat is yours if Joey goes silent. Joey, take it whichever direction you'd like.
Yeah, Loki, you still up here?
He is.
Yeah.
Loki, do you know what CloneX minted for originally? Or does anybody on stage know what CloneX original mint price was?
Eric, maybe you know.
Okay, well, if somebody decides to look it up, I was going to comment on what Cap said, which was as well, like if you've held CloneX this whole time, right? Like through all of, through the mint or slightly after the mint, and then the excitement of being bought by Nike and then Nike sunsetting it. And I mean, I would be excited as a holder. I'd be excited that there's potential that, the 3, 5, 10, 20 NFTs that I've held for 3 years now or 4 years now, there's a chance that something can come of them, right? I don't know if they'll ever, at their high point, if you were buying them at their high point of, if I remember correctly, they were at like 10 ETH at some point, and potentially even more than that. So I don't know if they'll ever get back to anywhere near where they were before. But if you've been holding through this whole time and you've decided not to tax loss harvest your CloneX, why would you not be excited about the potential that somebody purchased this collection and maybe something will come of it? You guys did say like the easiest thing. They minted for 0.05.
0.05. That was the
Yeah.
pre-sale, but then the rest went for like a Dutch auction at an average of 2 ETH per vial.
They definitely were not. Yeah, exactly. They were not 0.05 unless you had, I think it was maybe.
You had to have the CloneX coupon.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was like a Jeff Staple pigeon. Like there were like the assets to get in for that 0.05. You were paying unless you held them for a long time. Again, Artifact they were digital creators on chain. They were creating NFTs long before the CloneX collection dropped. To get into that mint for 0.05, you had to hold an asset that, like, I want to say, like, you could have bought those Jeff Pigeon shoes for like 6 ETH. Like, it was not you weren't getting in for 0.05 if you weren't already in. The Dutch auction, I'm pretty sure, settled for somewhere between 2 and 2.5 ETH for the mint vials. And then those mint vials.
It says October 22nd was set at 2 ETH after starting as a Dutch auction that began higher but was adjusted due to a tax, making it an instant success. The current market for 2 ETH.
Yep, 2
is
ETH,
what it looks like.
And then after they minted out, those mint vials ran up to like 5 or actually no, the mint vials ran up to like 8, 9, maybe 10 ETH at one point. I remember because we gave one away. Versatile Jake from Philly won one of those mint vials, and I'm pretty sure he flipped it for 9 ETH right after he won it. So yeah, the mint vials. This was post reveal. They ran up huge because the floor was up trading about that price point, maybe a little less, and the rares were going for extreme premiums. It was a really well done collection. The art, like you said, they're already 3D rigged. They did a good job with it. Even if the art's not your style, if you go look through the collection, it was really well done. The team understood the space really well, and yeah, had a lot of momentum. Like, I had a lot, and then they dropped the monoliths, and they did in hindsight, now it ended like most do, but for a while, you could have built a business case that they had built one of the best, if not the best Ponzi in crypto. They were one of the few that weren't just copy pasting Bored Ape Yacht Club's roadmap. They weren't just copy pasting the Yuga roadmap. Rather, they were kind of going like certain elements of it, yes, but really took a very different approach from the mint vials. I think they were the first ones, if not one of the first ones, to do mint vial and then reveal, not directly into a reveal. You had to burn those.
They're the first people to 3D rig their NFTs.
First ones to 3D
too,
rig it,
or no?
Yep.
First, I mean, just was.
Yep. First ones to. I think there might have been others, but they were the first ones that actually took off and captured any sort of attention. They were the first ones to do the monolith, the boxes, which, instead of dropping a fungible token, they dropped a fungible token that was at ERC 1155, I believe. And then that revealed another monolith. Like the box revealed a box, revealed a box, revealed a box. Insert the Family Guy GIF, right? Family Guy is of course, it could be another boat. What is this? Is it Family Guy? The meme I'm thinking of? Help me out, someone.
Family. What do you mean, Family Guy?
Where Peter Griffin goes.
Peter Griffin is Family Guy. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it's Family Guy.
I told, since I've confused Samuel L. Jackson with Morgan Freeman on the show earlier this week, I'm second guessing myself on any time I was pretty sure Peter Griffin was Family Guy, but you could have told me he was Simpsons, and I might have been right. Anyways, the Peter Griffin meme where he's I don't know, some game show or something, he could win a boat or take the box, and he's like, oh, I got to take the box. What if it's a boat? That's what we were doing with the artifact monolith boxes. I'm not even joking. It was, you had a monolith box, which revealed another monolith box, which revealed another monolith box. Eric mentioned the space pods earlier. I forgot about the space pods. Those things, I think, at one point were trading for ETH. Like, it's.
What was all-time high for CloneX?
I don't know.
Do we know?
I'm laughing to myself. It's hysterical to think back about some of the mechanics that were novel and led to a lot of positive speculation at the time. And now that we've seen the whole thing play out, and it was like the box just revealed another box, just revealed another box. And I think it culminated in having the last box give you the right to go spend like several $100s on sneakers, which also sounds kind of crazy. I will say I forgot about this till just now. It's the only time in my life I've flipped sneakers. I bought 5 of those sneakers and flipped all of them for a profit. So Artifact not only treated me well on the NFT flip, it made me a flipper of physical sneakers. And hell of a Ponzi they built. Boxes that revealed boxes that revealed boxes that gave you the right to spend hundreds of dollars. I digress. Oxy, welcome to the stage. What brought you up, sir?
Yeah, I was just gonna speak on how I think it's only a positive thing that Nike's. I mean, obviously they sunset it, but like I guess I didn't realize how small of a blip buying Artifact really was for Nike. Like they didn't even disclose it in their 10K, and it was between that 300 million and $1 billion purchase. So it's clearly like, I know we all like, we're like, oh man, that's so great that like huge companies are getting into these digital collectibles, but unless it's like a much more sizable aspect of their company, I really don't see the benefit like associated with like someone like a Nike coming in doing a digital collectible, because it's just such a small like side of their business. So I was digging and digging through their 10K and their SEC filings, because public companies have to disclose their purchases, or at least you can trace it in their footnotes. But it was such a small purchase for them, and again, their goodwill increased by between 300 million and $1 billion in that time period. They could have bought other companies and whatever, but they just dumped it into other. So I don't know. I think it's only a good thing for like NFT collections like this to be outside the hands of companies where it's just not even a priority for them.
Yep, I agree. If you're not familiar, Nike does about 50 billion a year in annual revenue. 50 billion with a B. Last year they were down to 46 billion, which was almost 10% dip year over year. But yeah, 50 billion in annual revenues is what Nike does. So yeah, buying something even for 300 million, which seems like a lot of money, it's not even large enough to trigger a disclosure on their financials. I actually have some alpha. I see we got a wild outer coming up, back-to-back days. I'm not sure what we owe the pleasure of, but we're going to let Joey get back in here for a response real quick. Then we're going to get out of it. Before I do any of that, I have alpha, like real actual alpha. I'm not kidding. It's not financial advice. But if you're interested and you want to speculate, you want to make a play on CloneX, and you've got 0.3 ETH that you can throw at something and not care if it goes to zero, this is no-brainer alpha. Like about as like this is just, it's an arbitrage. It's mispriced right now. I'm just going to show you. There's only one listed, so if someone's watching and you want to take it, you want to roll the dice. Maybe you can go get yourself an uber rare one. Here's the. Let me go back. Here's the collection. Hold on, showing the wrong thing. Here we go. I buried my lead, spoiled it. Here's the collection. Here's everything that is in the CloneX feature collections. The monoliths we've been talking about, those were the boxes. The more boxes and more boxes. I wouldn't mess with it. Maybe there's something that comes out. Here's the alpha though. The CloneX mint vials. So the floor has pulled back. It ran up to like 0.35. I said I wasn't a buyer. Now it's 0.2859. I think it dipped down to like 0.7 and it's climbing back up again. You can see a WETH offer just got hit. So it's 0.27. The floor is still up 200% on the day. The floor is 0.2859. There's one of these for sale right now, a mint vial that is only 0.3. So I'm probably going to make some WETH offers on these as soon as I get off the show, maybe live, for 0.169, see if I can get lucky and hit it, because that's an instant profit of flip. If I'm not trading on this right now. If I was, I would not think about buying a CloneX floor. This is a 10 out of 10 no-brainer for me. I would spend you call it 1.1 more, buy a mint vial, which I could potentially reveal an uber rare, which I could sell for multiple ETH. And now you may your downside is you reveal a floor and you sell it into bids and you take a 0.03 loss if the WETH offer stays at 0.27. Your upside is in this. I'm not just saying this. There has been several of the CloneX in the last just recently here in the last day, the last 8 hours, that have sold for significantly above floor price. I'm struggling with the OpenSea reporting. I was looking to see all-time high, but I can't find it on OpenSea. I have to go somewhere else. But you do see.
I think it's 22 ETH. I saw.
Insane. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. There's been not a lot, but here's one that was sold for 1.44 that was rarity 2,802. There was one that sold for 0.65 that was rarity 1,800. So there have been some rares. You're probably going to have to list it and wait for it. Here's one that sold, holy cow, for 5.99 a little bit ago. So again, if I'm looking to trade on this, I'm just telling you how I would do it. I'm not doing this, but if I was doing it, I would go buy that mint vial and I would either wait, because that's the only one listed. So I would buy it and I'd relist it for like 0.69, or I would roll my dice and see if I can roll another rare, and then I would flip that thing instead of.
Were any of those sales recent though, Cap?
What's that?
The rares?
Oh yeah, those were just in the last 4 hours. The ones I just mentioned.
Holy moly!
Yep. I'll pull up this. There's been a lot of sales, so it's not all of them, and I'm sure some rares have sold for close to floor.
If anybody wants to give me 10 ETH for my reptile, I will take it.
This guy sold for 5.99. I don't know. It is a alien DNA, which now the current floor is 9 ETH. There you go. So you pull an alien DNA, the floor is 9 ETH because someone just bought the last one at 5.99. Again,
I think Machiavelli just bought it.
The expected value. This is also fun because this was part of like the NFT fund. You look for arbitrages, you look for rare trades, you look for something like a mint vial that's mispriced. The mint vials should never be this close to floor because the expected value is somewhere between floor and the uber rare. Now, there's very few of those uber rares, but because you potentially could pull an uber rare, the value of these is the expected value is more than the current floor price. It's just simple math. I don't know the exact math because it would take me, I'd have to look at the collection more and how many rares exist, how many have been pulled, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, you think I'm kidding? This one here that's not listed, its last sale was 15 ETH. This last sale was 25 ETH. Again, that's probably when the floor price was in close to the 20s. Like this was crazy. And the reason that there was probably, when this sold for 25 ETH, the floor was probably like in the teens, I'm guessing. Like, because again, the expected value of a mint bio is more than the floor of you might pull a floor, but there's also a chance you pull an uber rare. Let's go Joey, and then we'll get Outer in here. Joey, thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to comment on what Oxy said about, Nike, this getting out of Nike's hands and back into somebody else's. I mean, I remember not long ago where we were wanting companies like Nike and Amazon and all these big companies to like come in this space to help legitimize and retail and etc. And now we're on like the opposite side of the coin, or am I just misunderstanding the point of saying like I think it's a good thing that Nike is selling it all?
Yeah, again, I'm just not close enough to the speaker space. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's probably a net positive, but there's a lot of so many variables. Depends on who's the buyer, what are they going to do with it. Speaking of nostalgia, I'm also partial to Chuck Taylor's because it was the phone repair brand I built. We leaned into the medical theme, so our uniforms are more Wonder Wing scrubs, blue medical scrubs, and those were all standardized, but every employee could choose their own pair of Chucks, like whichever ones they wanted. If they wanted to wear red ones, they could wear red ones. They wanted to wear leather ones, they could. If they wanted to wear Galaxy themed Chucks, they could. And that was people loved it. Our customers loved it. And not comfortable shoes. I don't know how they ever played basketball in those, because every pair of Chucks I own has quite literally torn apart. Like the seals, the soles come out of them. Like they're not very durable. They're not comfortable at all. Maybe they used to make them better. But not great shoes for comfort or to actually play sports in. But they look cool as a retail store uniform. Outer GM, 2 days in a row. What do we have the pleasure today?
GM. Well, I got to sleep in today, so this is great. I have nothing to add except for a really like dumb thought that I had that I can't unthink. Imagine like, I don't know if y'all did this or not, but I definitely farmed some losses in December, as you do, because that's important. And I couldn't help but think that maybe someone at Nike is like, hey, we have to farm some losses. Let's sell a bunch of shit, including this. I know I'm being so terrible, but it made me laugh so hard thinking about it, like on a zoom out macro scale, like here I am getting rid of a few JPEGs here and there, and maybe somebody at Nike's like, we should ditch a bunch of things we don't need and farm some losses before the end of the year. How about CloneX? I don't know. I'm being so dumb, you guys. I can't help it. I just woke up on this side of the bed and I'm laughing. But you're right, Cap. That is a good strategy. Everybody loves revealing a rare. I mean, no matter what, that's a tale as old as time. So I am excited to see if people actually do that.
And actually a pretty cool reveal process. It was one of the first that you could do this with, and it's got some good video teaser graphics. The reveal is pretty cool. I'm again biased because I revealed one that I eventually sold for 75 ETH, so it's in the core memory bucket. Also, not a bad take, Outer. The much better title as well. Nike didn't sell Artifact and CloneX. Much better title for the timeline is Nike Tax Loss Harvested Artifact CloneX on Coffee with Captain. So thank you for
you're welcome.
For co-hosting 2 days in a row with that.
Outer chose violence this morning.
I couldn't help it. I just I don't know. You know that what's the God? I forgot the name of it. The farm, the farm barn ETH thing where you go and send your JPEGs. I don't know. I just pictured one of those for all of these companies selling NFT projects.
I mean, very well could hold some merit. I don't know how publicly traded companies work like this. My presumption is they already marked the value down to $0 or like $1, whatever they could do. My assumption was they probably did that in 24, if not 23, is just after they sunset it. I assumed they had marked the book value down to close to $0, assuming they could do that and already took their tax loss L. But it's much funnier to think about them scrambling in mid-December, like, oh shit, what do we have left that we can
right?
Tax loss before the end of the year? Who wants Artifacts?
So funny. I can't help it.
I love it. Loki, go ahead and get back in here, and then I hear the waddle. See, I don't have enough coffee. I can't speak properly. Loki, I've gone right back to you. If Loki's done talking, Proof Alpha DJ, looking at you again, fill in the gap. I don't want to boil all the water to evaporation point again. I'd like some coffee this time. I'll be right back. Loki, GM.
Yeah, thanks, Cap. Joey, let me answer to your question real quick. So I think we had different expectations when these big brands, huge brands, came into our space, and then the execution was totally a different story. And the end of the story is they never understood the super fans model, the stakeholder model. They're just treating us as consumer the same way they do in Web 2. So people now will say, okay, let's stick with Web3 builders because they understand this more or less. But I think also another issue and another reason why we don't see this to be bullish is they never solve the other problem, which is the onboarding, the friction, right? So they never saw that, and they just keep selling or keeping everything inside a bubble. And so at that point, we're just gonna ask ourselves, why do we need them, right? So yes, that's my view, and also it's not that bullish. I think 2025, 2024 actually showing the crypto market is pretty wealthy compared to normie market, also in collectible markets. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And a lot of brands here, they even just stick with Web3 consumer, Web3 fans. They can actually create a lot of revenue that would be kind of hard, if not impossible, in Web2, or it will take like decades. Joy.
Good hand
I think more to just to I disagree with one thing you said, but I do agree that a lot of these big brands didn't they didn't get involved in the culture, right? Like they didn't spend the days in here understanding their holders and what the space wants and things like that. I don't agree though that it's a stakeholder versus consumer conversation, because in order for any of these businesses to be successful, they have to find a way to generate a steady flow of income, of revenue. So if you're constantly just treating your holders as stakeholders versus versus a group of individuals that you can direct market to, whether it's through discounts, bonuses, add-ons, whatever, and you're just not going to survive. So I, I don't view NFT holders as stakeholders. I view them as like high value brand loyalists more than stakeholders. Where I, as a company, can look at them and say, okay, you all are our most valuable brand loyalists. So this is what I'm going to do for you. We're going to release. We're talking about Nike here, right? Like, hey, we're going to release these new sneakers that, like, they're super cool to look at. But when you use our augmented reality app, right? Like they do, they transform, they do this, do that, right? For the everyday consumer, we're going to sell them for $300, but for you guys, we're going to sell them for $200, right? And we see that all the time with a lot of companies when you join their their points program or whatever. So I just think the bigger issue was Nike didn't bring CloneX and their holders along enough, because to Cap's point, there was tons of content being created on the timeline around CloneX because of the resources that were provided to them. And I don't think Nike empowered them to be their biggest brand loyalists to help push the brand. I think they just forgot about CloneX and focused more so on the sneaker IP, whatever trademark side of things.
Go ahead, Loki. Get in there with a response.
Yeah, actually I agree with what you're saying. If talking about Nike, if talking about Pokemon, if talking about huge brands. So at that point, you don't actually need anymore to push anything. You already have relevance. You already have everything you need. So yes, you can offer discount. Actually, I'm already a fan. I'm buying your product since years and years. So yes, I want to be the first in the list. I don't want to queue anything, blah, blah. But this is a different story if you are an emerging brand. So maybe the problem at that time was you were a super fan of CloneX, and then suddenly you became a part of Nike, so Nike actually doesn't feel the need of any push from your super fans. And I think that's where the mess was created. And at the same time, the original Nike buyers from Web 2, they didn't have a way to get easily included. So that's how I see the thing here.
Oh, onboarding was definitely an issue up until maybe the late 2024, 2025, with how easy it was. I mean, but I agree with you in that if Nike would have activated their quote unquote super fans in this space, which are the CloneX holders, better, they could have seen. And now, nobody anticipated the huge bear market we were going to go into. BTC dropping to 27,000, and like nobody anticipated that happening. But they definitely did not bring those quote unquote super fans along for the ride like they could have, with how powerful that CloneX community was. And I think that was the beginning of the end, because those holders just felt, and I could be wrong, but I remember talking about this on Spaces, that those holders felt left behind with the acquisition of Nike, because they were just being sold sneakers as holders. That was it.
Fair, I think maybe towards the end, but my memory is different. My memory may be inaccurate. I'm excited to get Meryl in here. Meryl looks pretty deep in that ecosystem. I see CloneX Tokyo in the bio, and I also had reshared a poll that I pinned up top from was actually just this past November. It says, as the holidays approach and all is silent on the acquisition front, will Nike deliver a holiday miracle and sell Artifact before the ball drops on New Year's, or the clones to forever remain elf on the shelf? 78% of the respondents responded Nike will not sell Artifact. Only 22% called this. And this poll ran 3 weeks before the sell. Major Blazer, the first comment, said, would have been one hell of a polymarket line. I agree. Meryl, going to go right to you if you don't mind. GM, welcome to the stage. I hope I didn't misspeak there. It looks like you're pretty deep in the clone ecosystem, and excited to hear your thoughts on the sale and any backstory information we might have gotten wrong.
GM, it's been a while since I've been on a Spaces because shit just fell off, right? Yeah, I'd like to consider myself an OG. They're from the mint, kind of was new to the community at that point, but a lot of people had been creating a lot of things and community managers and all this kind of stuff. Then a lot of rotations in the team and expansions and global events and a lot of speculation, a lot of hype. AR is going to be the future. These shoes, were they coming out? Were they not? You mentioned a few different points which agree with. A lot of the community were basically just like hard, like FOMO into it, right? Buying all the merch effectively, all the token gated stuff. Everyone had different DNA, so there's a whole like ecosystem and belief behind it, right? We became the distribution network.
Can I interject real quick?
Other component of what you said, which was like, when the Nike acquisition happened, this feeling of left behind. I don't know if feeling left behind is the right way to phrase it, but what eventually kind of developed or how it felt like it kind of landed there towards the end. Because initially it's just like, oh, they're just building, believing that, they have the right intentions there. Me being part of a small community in Tokyo, or small is a relative term, of people that hosted events and met a lot of the creators and, mixed with the founders and stuff. There was really good energy, but the short of it is like a lot of the content that was produced by creators and such, none of it was funded by Artifact, right? There was a few select key members who did get either pulled into the team because of their coding skills and like built Blender tools like Bebs, for example. Down the line, an animator, Alice 80, who you might have seen around in some of his trailers floating around, like Clone Dreams has reposted them, and he himself is a great animator, and so he got pulled on to do some small videos for some releases, such as new shoes and like some somewhat small collections. But it was kind of like rare for that to happen. I'm still in touch with some friends who are animators to this day and picked up Blender due to the fact that CloneX had this big draw for like animating and 3D design and this whole universe that we were dreaming up. But what we understood very clearly towards the end was like Nike really kind of stripped it of its parts, and it was rumored that the termination or the finish line was always in Nike's mind, right? They had a CEO change halfway through whatever season we want to call it, like towards the end of the year, which the CEO before in Nike was very much digital friendly. Like I even heard they said we're gonna get rid of all the retailers and we're just gonna direct the customer. That basically opened the market for things like On and all these other shoe brands. My point being is since they changed CEOs, they went back to basics, brick and mortar, back to retail. And I think that also included, just cutting off the fat, getting rid of all these undesirable assets such as artifacts, which was just left to just kind of like rust in the rain outside. Like they basically acquired it and kind of did nothing, and kind of gave the creators or the original founders some freedoms and budget and stuff to create the shoes and the clothing and some of these collaborations, which were all legitimate and a lot of them delivered at different timelines, just because when you start to work for a corporate company that's on the stock exchange, the bureaucracy must be crazy. So these are all the kinds of narratives that we fed ourselves and were fed, but there was definitely some like shift in energy, obviously after the announcement, and then slowly as it went on, it was weird, man. Like the community started having these kind of like, oh, will they, won't they, they kept like fumbling a lot. But I heard that the founders and everyone in the team, all due respect, we all respect them, we all appreciate their work, they're very humble people. They were kind of backs against the wall because of Nike.
Yeah, that was my impression as well, as it seems like they really got handcuffed and things definitely changed post-acquisition. It didn't, am I right in saying it didn't happen immediately though, right? Like there was actually a lot of hype and excitement around the Nike acquisition at first, thinking, oh my God, this is the greatest. Actually, I just said I took a trip down memory lane. I'll do a screen share here. I might pin this up top in a second. I had forgotten this, but the timeline, when this happened, when Nike acquired Artifact, right before that happened, Adidas had made a big play in the space. Adidas jumped into Web3. Adidas, I'm gonna share the post because it's better. Yeah. Adidas, actually, I thought I would share it. Do you know where I was going with this?
Yeah, they did. They started to try to do the alts. So I also try to be interested in that, and they pivoted maybe 2 or 3 times now. Right.
Yep.
Had some friends involved in their creators residency. They had events in Korea. They promoted some artists and stuff. But it from what I heard, from the artists, the key artists that were working with the alts team, it wasn't very well managed, and they had no idea what they're doing. They weren't. It seems like the people that they hired also were not very Web3 native. Talking about community but not really giving a shit kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there was a kind of like a similarity, if that's where you're going to.
Yeah, and actually, where I was, I was going back through my images. I searched Artifact in my just to see what I could find in my phone because I couldn't remember all these details. So I'll do 2 things. One, I'm going to share the first things I found, and then where I was going with the ape and who shared it. It's actually kind of a banger post. This is why he built quite the following last cycle. But before I go there, here's my quick trip down memory lane. So a lot of you were like, congratulate me, oh, great job on the 75 ETH sale. When I sold that in summer of 22, ETH was down to about $1,000. So it was about like $75,000 sale. Still very grateful for that. However, one of the things I, for some reason, decided to take a screenshot of and not sell at the time was that you can see it's in my wallet. This was February. It was February 1st of 2022. So I sold it in June. ETH was down to about $1,000 then. Most people don't remember this timeline. ETH in February 1st of 2022 was about $2,700. So I passed on a 100 ETH offer or 100 ETH offer when ETH was $2,700, or left about $200,000 on the table by waiting from February until June to sell this thing. So before you congratulate me, this also is how this space could F with your brain, is when you turn a profit of about $75,000 on something, and yet mentally you're down bad. Fortunately, somehow I had eyes for it, because I'd forgotten that it was actually over $250,000 that I did not accept the offer on at the time and settled for a meager 75K. The other things here, we were talking about that monolith reveal. The boxes at one point were trading for 8.25. They revealed it would be revealed to be a customizable sneaker, which that's actually the sneaker I was showing. The crypto kicks, the Genesis dunks, that came from the monolith. I'd forgotten. I actually originally was thinking they came from something else, which I'll show you next. Anyways, after they did that reveal, those boxes dropped from 8.25 to 4.8 ETH within 15 minutes. The space pods you mentioned, at one point they were trading for about 10K. It might have been higher than this. I don't know. There was 20,000 of them. It was a what was the does anyone remember the place you could go and basically customize your pods?
Yeah, so there was like the On Cyber or something similar to On Cyber.
Yep,
right?
exactly. It was On Cyber, Cyber Factory 2. It was On Cyber, but it was customized with your artifact pods. It was like one of the first, I guess, virtual worlds. It wasn't really a world. It was just you had a home or a place you could decorate with your NFTs, essentially. And then last but not least, this is what I was thinking originally when I said, where did I ask everyone where they came from? I do still have these as well. So maybe I'll let one of them fly. These Sandbox Punks kicks might have been one of the first.
Wow, you're still far back.
Might have been one of the first NFTs that the Artifact team launched. These came as part of a Sandbox land sale, included in the land plot. I bought a premium plot of land, and I got these Sandbox Punk kicks from Artifact, as well as a Dead Mouse NFT. And I don't think I sold these. I'm going to go double check now, but I had to share since I brought it up in the last. I'm going to tag Farouk with a banger back in the day. Does anyone remember the banger Farouk posted?
No, but that's crazy. There's a lot of stuff there.
Right.
Like even the monolith, like basically dissolved into nothing. You know, there was one point where the theory was that, you know, this monolith thing was supposed to be perpetual, right? After you open a box, there'll be a monolith N+1 box, like and monolith 2, monolith 3, plus items, right? It would be this kind of thing that gives forever, right?
Yep.
That's why a lot of the speculation was there.
Exactly.
And then for whatever reason, after the third one or whatever number it was, it disappeared. It's just like, nope, we're turning it into a coupon. It turned into a freaking coupon, right? To redeem the crypto kicks, the self-lacing ones, and you get X amount % off. And it was like, what? It would have been better to sell the monolith and then wait for that to happen, and then you would have your cake and eat it too, right? Mate, you went so far back. There's a lot of those kinds of like weird plays, and it's like, why? Maybe Nike couldn't afford the backlash.
So yeah, I would love to know. We probably never will know, because I'm sure the original team founders probably under pretty strict NDA, and they don't want to deal with Nike legal, would be my guess. But man, I would love to know how much of that decision making at the time when things started going downhill was driven by Nike and their corporate empire, their corporate bureaucracy. Because I'm going to say it again, man, there was a time this team was moving. Like everyone said, "Oh, don't fade Yuga." You could have said, "Don't fade CloneX" at the same time. Pre this stuff unwinding, because it was different. It was something new. It was fun to speculate on this stuff. Oh my God, I got this box that it's going to basically, I know they couldn't call them dividends, but it was going to give me dividends in perpetuity. Like I'm going to be eating Nike sneakers that fit my traits that go with my CloneX. And I know a lot of that was on the community, and we came up with, in some cases, unrealistic expectations. It was on the community and the holders at large. I don't care. It was fun. And you know what? They were birthing things that, I got a space pod this month. I just sold it for 3 ETH. I just made 10 grand off this mysterious box. I'm going to keep getting gifts forever. So when people look back, they're like, why in the world did you not sell that CloneX for 100 ETH and in 276 grand? Well, the answer is, I don't know exactly, but there's a world where I made like 20 grand off the thing in the prior month. And so you do some math, like, wow, this thing is going to it's going to be a milk producing cow for life. Like, I know it seems crazy in hindsight because the music stopped, the dance ended, but there was a time like we were getting 5, in some cases 6-figure airdrops or claims for holding assets like this, and the teams like Artifact were moving differently. They weren't running the same playbook did it eventually end? Yes, it did. But I really do wonder how much now, could they sustain the same thing today as the market and went through the bear? No, but it really did take a pretty hard pivot from what the team was building and how they were aligned with the community and really understood crypto and Web3, maybe as good as anyone in the space, to then all of a sudden they became another extractive corporate giant that didn't care about their holders and just wanted to sell them more stuff.
Time. Like the narrative was so good. The community ate it up. We believed it. We genuinely believed it. We were telling everyone. We're marketing. We're doing all these passion events and promoting the story and saying this is the monolith. This is the crypto kick. Look, this is going to be a real thing. With every DNA, you can access a different clothing collection. Right. This was the time during where like shoe culture kind of dead. Shoe cultures were just filled with scalpers and bots. No one could get the shoes that they wanted. The real people that were like for the shoe culture weren't getting the thing. And this was like kind of like an answer to being able to get exclusives by being in the know, and here they were selling the idea of we're going to make exclusive shoes that no one else is going to know about, right? And it all changed. Like I have this one image in front of me here, this was I think when royalties were still a thing. It's like an old Dune table, ranking like 1 to 13 of different companies in orders like Nike, Dolce & Gabbana, Tiffany, Gucci, Adidas, etc. And I see here total revenue, total NFT revenue, total royalties, and secondary volume. And so the secondary volume for Nike was like 1.3 billion at this time. And then Dolce & Gabbana, which was second place, was 20 million. So that's a huge gap between first and second. And so total NFT revenue ended up being like 185 million compared to the 25 million, just as a comparative between the first and second, right?
Wild.
So they were doing a lot of work.
They really were. And like I said, I know it's easier. And some of you are probably rolling your eyes or shaking your head when I'm using numbers, because the numbers got insane. Like, it's crazy. I'm never expecting that again. Like, it was in that moment we were euphoric. Like, it was, in hindsight, it's easy to say it was the Pico top. This stuff, those offers, 100 ETH offer on a CloneX, like that stuff was happening when ETH was 1K. We were already in a bear in February of 22. We were in a bear. We just didn't realize because these NFTs were still going for absurd amounts. And it's just, the thing I continue to harp on is alignment. Take away the numbers, take away the 5 and 6-figure dividends, the magical internet money that just kept falling out of the sky. The alignment was most of the teams that were leading at the point, most of the excitement, the communities, they were aligned in the sense that when they had an activation, it wasn't selling more stuff to their community. It was, how can we help our community win? How can we provide perks and utility to our holders, our brand ambassadors? Because in doing so, they are really actively helping grow our brand. They're actively helping scale our community. They're hosting these pop-up events. They're hosting Artifact Tokyo. Like, the rowing of the boats in the same direction, it goes both ways. Yes, the brands, and I know it's not, they can't just keep dropping NFTs today. That's not going to work. That's not what I'm saying. But the examples I've used recently is whether it's free shipping or 10% off if you're a holder, or, and I know that we use that as like a negative example towards the end. There's things that you can do to you, even using the technology. I think about one of the, I'll throw another artifact. I'll see if I can find this picture. One of my, not just crypto or Web3, one of the best free t-shirts I've ever got at a giveaway, like merch, not apparel, that like high quality, it ended up being high quality apparel. A free t-shirt I got at Art Basel, probably 2022, was at the Artifact exhibit. And it was, extremely high quality material. It had, some AR, VR stuff, and it was free. Like, they really, the team was doing some different things. They were moving to their own beat, and it was they absolutely added to the fun and excitement of the NFT mania. And even just taking this trip down history lane, or memory lane, I was not. I forgot about a lot of this too, Meryl. One of the things I did drop in the chat, I'll pull it up now. I said Farouk dropped a banger. It really was a banger back in the day. The image is coming through a little dark, so I'm not sure how good it's going to show on the screen. But he says Adidas buys ape. As far as in-ape, they bought an ape and they launched their collection in partnership with Yuga and G Money and Pixel Vault. Adidas buys ape. Farouk says Nike Hold My Beer buys Artifact. This was December 13th of 2021. Just like the trip down memory lane, and as I went down memory lane and realized it's not the OG crypto punks or crypto dunks that are in my that came from the Sandbox plot. It's actually those Sandbox punks kicks, which I shared. If this turnaround happens, these could be a grail. Yes, I am very biased because I'm one of 274 holders of this thing. Far less supply. There's only 400 of them in total, and pretty good distribution with only 274 holders. The floor is already 0.5. I'm not sure. It's kind of challenging to see recent sale history without diving deeper here because it's an 1155. But yes, this was part of a reveal from a Sandbox lot. I mentioned the Dead Mouse head. This thing came with a Sandbox plot, whatever this Happy Block bot is, and this Solitaire Jones. These were the Sandbox assets. I eventually sold the Sandbox lot for like 4 or 5 ETH, I think. And it was part of a trade with a Crypto Mories. I got a rare Crypto Mories in return. Take me back to NFT time. Yes, it was fun for the crazy flips, but the collecting, the trades, the things like, oh my gosh, this news just broke. Everyone rushes to go trade the primary PFP collection. What else might run next? Oh, the crypto dunks, the Sandbox punk kicks. It doesn't roll off the tongue very well, but yeah, this is my flex. This is my grail here is these pixelated Sandbox punk kicks in partnership with Artifact.
Dude, the high was real.
The high was real. It was real. I'm giddy. I'm mildly euphoric. Just in reminiscing, just in talking about it. Probably says something to my degeneracy and why I round trip some of these JPEGs, but I don't even care. It was while I did round trip some of them, like I didn't sell those ones I was just showing for 0.39 ETH, which they were probably even higher than that at one point. We'll be back if the new acquirer got all these assets, which we don't know. To reiterate, the terms of this sale from of Artifact from Nike to a new mysterious buyer. Not only were the terms not disclosed, the buyer wasn't disclosed. We may never know. I doubt that. I bet they're going to let the speculation run a little bit, get some trading volume, make some royalties, then come out with who they are, what their plans are, what if anything, what's next. Did they promise any utility? Is it just art on chain? Did they, hey, we're not doing anything, but we've just taken your 3D rigged avatars into the other side, go have fun? Is it just the CloneX collection? Does it include monoliths and the crypto dunks and the, I'm not even going to try to say it, whichever one, the pixelated version I just had pulled up there. If it is all those, and they do tease a token, I would not even say in range. I would say it's likely that there's positive price action. It probably doesn't see the same pump that Moonbirds got because those have already pulled back from, they've ran up to, I think, 4 or 5 ETH, and they're like 2 now. Now, market conditions matter. We saw that both pre and post 1010, and who knows where it lands. Who knows what if they do drop a fungible token and there's allocation to these NFT assets, who knows what their plans are for that token. It all very well could go back to zero, but if it's a well-respected builder in the space or active participant, and that is received positively for the majority, if not most, of the community and holder base, and they tease a token for these assets, I think it's likely that these assets run. That said, I'm still not a buyer, but I'm also not a seller. I'm going to ride out what I've got, and if the CloneX floor dips, I may very well be a buyer. It's against my principles to buy something that's pumped 200% in the last 24 hours. Go ahead, Morel. Appreciate you joining us today. Really appreciate you adding to the conversation.
No, I appreciate you giving me so much airtime. It's kind of a pleasure to talk about it again. Like, yeah, the same high that you're talking about. Like, I was there on Spaces on Twitter speculating about where this company is gonna go, what it's gonna be like. Oh, everyone's collaborating and communicating. Creators are connecting and making like music videos. The event I hosted at Tokyo, it's why I'm still here, right? I engaged with this NFT community while I was in Tokyo visiting my mom, and then I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. We had like a 250 person event in the middle of in Shibuya. People came from overseas. We had like live monolith openings. We had like digital art there, physical art. A whole lot of community members like volunteered. We had like maybe like 15 to 20 people volunteering their time and effort into this. I put my sweat into this. We had like Verbal come over, Benoit come over, people from Taiwan brought over their hardware to, it was real, right? It was legit. People made real connections and real friendships and had loads of memories. And the what if, or the what the if, or the thing that you're talking about is like this could go, the big maybe of where it could go is very appetizing. But yeah, the people that have been giving, I feel like everyone kind of tuned out. There's still a few of us using the clone as our IP, just because it's like we genuinely love it. It's not gonna go anywhere. We're never gonna get rid of it, kind of thing. We're so down, it doesn't matter anymore. We're here for the art if you want, but there is a huge potential on the big if, right? If this is like, the only thing I can see is like, what is the value proposition of artifacts at this point in time, right? It's the IP, it's the relationship with Takeshi Murakami, right? It's this pre-existing distributed token of like different holders, right? Of people with different ideas and tastes. So will it continue where it left off? I don't think so, right? Supply chain is different, manufacturing is different, but if the right creative person's behind it and they are able to get recruit back the original givers, there's definitely a very good strong foundation. But in this time of the world and the marketplace where it is now, it's very unlikely where there isn't a lot of movement, a lot of liquidity floating around, right? So it would be, I think, a longer term IP play where you have these very unique designs made by a renowned global artist, maybe the best artist in Japan at the moment. At least he is the most popular one in the world at the moment, as far as I'm aware. He's on Louis Vuitton. He's everywhere, right? You can't get away from Takeshi Murakami. He's on Casetify. He's on all this stuff. So it is a historical digital creation. What you're able to do with it is questionable, like licensing and all this stuff. But we still use the 3D assets to this day. I'm talking to a friend that I met through that event I mentioned. He picked up Blender, and now he's like an expert at Blender. He's been making music for 15 plus years, and he still uses the clone. I can post his profile here, and you'll see his Instagram posts, videos, still using the motherfucker, right? And a lot of us still are attached to it. So there is a huge, nice like dream of like where this could go, but until the intentions are shown, it's hard to really know where it will go.
Yeah, well said. Really well said. I agree, and I got a couple things. Some breaking news, and it's not Diablito. This is maybe the worst take of the day. Kevin Rose bought Artifact. That would speed run the floor to zero, would be my guess. But in seriousness, in not like news, I have breaking information. I'll say, Zaptio, one of the co-founders of Artifact, just had this to say: "A new future awaits." Interpret that how you will. Maybe he's just excited for the collection. Maybe he's excited for the art. His bio does also now say forming a better future. Co-founder of Artifact. I'm not saying Zaptio is back in and reacquired the collection from Nike. As I said earlier, maybe they didn't. Maybe it wasn't a big cash check, and I'm assuming a lot of the acquisition was, or their exit was, in the form of Nike stock. If I were to guess, likely had earnouts, et cetera, et cetera. Even still, so maybe he would be coming back just simply for the love of the game. I want to get. I do have one of the pieces I want to share, but before I move on, I'd like to get both Meryl and Eric, if you don't mind. If anyone else would like to comment on it, feel free to do so. But if you'd like, wouldn't mind sharing. Oh, and I saw Eileen jumped up as well, so we'll go to you if you want to get on the conversation. But first, Meryl, and then Eric. Meryl, if Zaptio is the buyer or one of the buyers, is that bullish or bearish for you, or would that be your optimal acquire, or would you rather see someone new come in with more of a quote unquote clean slate? What's your takes? What's your stance, bullish, bearish, if Zaptio is one of the buyers?
It's an interesting question. I mean, me personally, I think the founders had a true vision and they are truly crazy enough to do the things that they want. A quick side note is, if you were to go on Instagram, there is an account called RTFKT, which is quite a well-known, I think, like, let's say, marketing Instagram kind of feed. And I believe Zaptio is very tight in that. And it's literally using this very, very similar moniker name, right? Artifact. And I think he's, the founders are true artists and designers and filmmakers and all this kind of stuff. And I think they had a vision that they wanted to achieve, which in my words, Nike didn't allow them to have. So there is hope, maybe, that, yeah, if Zaptio was back in the seat, I can imagine there's some interesting developments, but I don't know. Like, would it be best to have some fresh eyes and have him as an advisor, or put him back in the seat? I can imagine he'd be taking the advisor role, because Web3 is not kind to founders of any project. So it's hard to be that person.
Yep, agreed. I kind of narrowed the same. I think, like, I agree. The team they were cutting edge. They were doing things differently. I do believe they had a vision. My speculation is that vision got, if at best, muffled, at worst killed in the corporate behemoth that is Nike, and for understandable reasons. Like, they're going to not move at the same, I don't want to say reckless abandon that a startup would, but they're definitely going to move differently. And even if they take the same steps, the timeline is different. The approval process is different. It's like, I could see that really. I've been through that, not at that level, and I did not have the same exit, but I've went through rapidly growing, rapidly scaling startup that never felt like I was working a day in my life, and pouring in 6-7 days a week, and from sun up until 11, 12 o'clock midnight, and then getting up and doing it again, and traveling 50,000 miles a year, like doing the thing, and then having the same role essentially, but yet still was brand manager, still was general manager, whatever you want to call me, but yet doing so for not just a boss, but a reality, like the equivalent of a board in a matrix organization. And it became, I don't want to say it was a nightmare in case any former employee, colleagues are listening in, but it went from never feeling like a day of work in my life to couldn't get anything done without 17 other departments weighing in on it. And so something that I would get done previously in a 5-minute call with my mentor went from that to weeks worth of hour-long Zoom meetings to get literally the same simple decision made. So I can understand how a creative, these guys were very creative. I could see how going into even a environment like Nike that we think is really cool, fun brand, it's still a corporate behemoth. It's still a business that does $50 billion a year in revenues. They have to they have shareholders, they're publicly traded, they have to operate very differently, understandably so. It's not the right fit for everyone. So in the scenario that he gets a chance to run it again without those handcuffs, without being muffled, whether it's him and maybe other co-founders, or just him, or him with another partner that's someone else in the space, like, I think that would be exciting. Acknowledging that it probably also comes with some utility debt, some founder debt, whatever you want to call it. Like, not everyone's going to be happy, and I'm sure there's some that would probably rather see a new face with no what they might view as baggage, just because even if what I described is true and it was a horrible work environment, and they couldn't get anything done, and everything that Artifact did at post acquisition was the exact opposite thing that Zaptio wanted to do, and the rest of the team, they're never going to be able to say that. They're going to have likely an ironclad NDA, and it's not going to be worth it for them to bash someone who
100%.
made them all wealthy. So it's just, we could speculate all we want. We're never really going to know unless you're, family members with one of these people or extremely close friends. Eric, same question to you. If Zaptio is part of the group or the individual that is the acquirer here, is that bullish or bearish? CloneX.
I honestly think it's bullish. In my case, like one good example is Garga took back after the apes. Like I think I can't say if today the floor price is higher than it was, but everyone rallied behind him because he was one of the originals and the vision. How low can it can't go lower, in a sense like that. And like what you said, like when you're part of corporate, it takes you 17 departments to do something, and when you're now back on track, you can actually do the thing that you want. And I think the original idea, we gotta understand, he's the one who got Murakami in and all the great art to get going. It's just maybe he won't be alone in the team. Obviously, he might have other partners or other co-founders that will have different kind of eyes and different kind of skill set that will take them places, because now he knows what his weaknesses is, what he can't do and can do. Now he formed the perfect kind of team to take it to the best heights, and now he knows he's been kind of off hands for almost a year now. So then he'll see where people like it, what don't like it. Is partnership really the way to go, or they want to do something just do other side, just figure out all the 3D rigs out there. And there's so many things going on with partnerships. I've seen I think it was K-pop girls that try to use their CloneX to dance half the time, and then there's so many things in Japan happening. It was a big sensation for CloneX, and of course I think all founders they had a good exit. I'm sure they got bought out, but using those resources and those not just funds, their resources and whatever, all the connections they had during this time, I think will really accelerate. So I think it's very bullish in my case.
Yeah, I think I net out similar. I think I agree with both your takes that it'd be fun to, because having been along for the journey, I was a holder for a bit. I did well in the collection. I wasn't the graphic designer. I wasn't deep in the community. I wasn't hosting community regional events. I mean, just think about that for a second, where Marl's talking about 250 person community led events. There's not many Web3 brands, period, hard stop today, that could host an official event that's going to get 250 people there. And this isn't taking a shot at NFT Paris, but it's on the same week where NFT Paris cancels and due to lack of support. There was this community was built different. The founders were some of the most creative in the space, doing things differently, and it would be, I think, bullish to see them have a shot with presumably more capital, more funding behind them today. Even though that who knows what the new entities funded with. I'm guessing they're all at a significantly different spot in terms of their personal net worth, and I doubt he had to come back. Just like you referenced Garga, Garga didn't have to come back, and so there's also part of the just a respect element that comes from the community, that an appreciation that this person's taking back a what a lot of people view as a headache, and showing up and in the weeds every day and taking all the blowback on the timeline, in the chats, and doing it for the vision to really build something and have an impact. That's hard to replicate for someone that's just another buyer, even if they are respected in the space. I think the comeback story is, everyone loves a good comeback story, and this would be no different. Meryl, get back in here, and then if Eileen, if you want to join the combo, and then we'll get everyone out of here.
I want to hear from Ilan for sure.
Ilan, my apologies.
I think yeah, that speculation, whether it's Zaptio at the lead, I think in some ways it could be the perfect storm where the founders stepped away for a bit because you could see they were getting burnt out from all angles, right? The community was shitting on them, even the beloved belovers, it was just hard times, and then they have to then deal with the labor of dealing with Nike and and then also being creative and doing the work, and producing things and delivering the roadmap or whatever, right? Like they did deliver a good chunk of what they said they wanted to. They had a roadmap before which fell apart because timelines change when you get signed on as a corporate, but that deal was set 6 months before the announcement was happening, right? But like this one was, right? It must have been in the works for a couple of months. It didn't just get sold in the last year. So if my guess is Zaptio, everyone moved on. Like a lot of us kept in touch with them. You could see them online posting different things. Clegg is now doing like coffee stuff and community stuff. Zap is doing a lot of art stuff. He's worked with a lot of really top-notch like British artists, and he made like it's basically a sculpture of a kuntag in Miami. What was the most recent Miami art fair? Basel.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah, I think if the break away, then coming back brings new energy, all for it. But I don't know if it's hard to step back into like old shoes,
Yep. Agreed. I'd be rooting for it though. I think it'd be a good story. Said everyone loves to come back, and I've got some other breaking news, and then I'll get Ilan in here. Apologies for the mispronunciation. Great to connect though. The other breaking, and I hope this is one of you. I hope one of you took advantage, and it could be a very expensive coffee with Captain this morning for hosting the show and not trading, because that floor on the CloneX Mint Bio, which when I called it out a few minutes ago, 0.3 is a slam dunk plus EV deal. Not only did that one get bought, again, I hope it was one of you, the new floor on the CloneX Mint Bios is now 5 ETH, representing a increase on the day of 1,150%. Only 0.4 of those listed. GG's to anyone who did that one. There's been a few sales because the volume is 1.02 ETH. I'm guessing that's probably 3 sales, as 0.4 was probably recently sold as well, and they're all going to crush. So I hope, again, I'm patting myself on the back, taking a victory lap for paper trading. I truly hope it was one of you that picked this up for 0.3 and now has it listed for 0.5. GG's. Ilan, GM, welcome to the stage. What brought you up this morning?
Yo, GM. Artifact brought me up. I mean, I think this is one of the communities that I rode really, really hard with. Was one of those first members in Bad Take, which was sort of the cultural epicenter of the Artifact community. So hat to the homies from Bad Take. And I think, what you guys were talking about is if one of the founders, come back to take the helm, and it's all about narrative, right? Like this is something that you probably know very, very well. It's all about narrative and collective memory. I think that there's a lot of bitterness around how things went down. It was very sort of loud and contentious, of course, because Get Rich Nick got on the timeline, and there was obviously timeline battles about Get Rich Nick, who called the shuttering of Artifact, and the Artifact founders obviously coming back and saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I never got that memo. So there was a lot of sort of noise pre sort of shutdown. And they obviously went through the motions, delivered the last handful of things, including the Animus, which I think are super badass. Just as collectibles, because they are those 3D avatars, but they also have the 2D sort of PFP view. Those are super badass. Would look awesome in a metaverse like the other side. So again, it's really, really all about the narrative. Who captures the narrative? Who tells the story? And if Zach could come back and and spin a story that is positive around, like you guys were saying, a corporate behemoth and legal getting in the way of a vision, and now unshackled, the true sort of Artifact can rise, like a phoenix or whatever. These sort of narratives matter in the space, and so we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think that there are a lot of cool collectibles, as you guys have been mentioning, out there for this brand. And CloneX and Animus being sort of the top two in the context of like making an identity around it, making content, and having these 3D rigged assets that you can plug and play in any kind of metaverse. So, and then again, it's like market conditions, right? If the metaverse sort of takes off, if other side really catalyzes that aspect of this Web3 thing, that was very much a promise, right? Back in the day, like when Artifact was crushing it, and the loot pods were happening. We were questing in, we were having these sort of mass community quests in those, in that sort of digital real estate and on cyber, the loot pods and whatnot. If all that sort of comes full circle in the metaverse now, obviously is a functioning thing, it could provide some tailwinds for Artifact and this next sort of step, because obviously at the very beginning, like Herman came out and even had some spaces and was like, hey, let's talk about this Artifact thing, like, should we buy them? And obviously he's spinning up Somnia, he's got the chain, he's got he's got the tech. If he could bring a community of creators like Artifact to to their own sort of metaverse space / city / world, I think that would do sort of a lot of good. And if it's plug and play again with something like Artifact, because they run on the same, or something like Other Side, because they obviously like run on the same rails with in Squared and Improbable, their network effects there. So yeah, rooting for him, man. I'm with you, Captain.
It's awesome. Well, great to connect. Really appreciate you adding to the conversation there. I'd forgotten that you're right. Choose Rich Nick called this like, I want to say like 6 months before the news broke. But not only that, you talk about a few things you made me think of there. One, I do have, you were watching the video here, I've got pulled up, like talking to the creativity in the community. This is just a video from a community member named Allie. Some work they did back in, looks like January 24. Totally forgotten about Nick calling the shot that eventually got dunked on pretty hard from them and others, and then it ultimately did come to fruition. I'm excited to get President in here next, because I did share a post from Jack, President up top there, about CloneX coming to Other Side. Because the assets were already, the 3D rigs were already there. People have been able to bring them to Other Side since September of last year, when Other Side launched those docs. That is pinned up top. If anyone wants to get a jump on that and do it yourself, you can go step by step there. Jack, I have to ask, have you done that? Have you brought a CloneX into Other Side? And then feel free to take the conversation wherever you'd like. Appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, I'll be brief. It's a work in progress. It's very doable, but it's a bit involved. But yeah, they're coming. I just wanted to correct you on one thing. You mentioned mint vials earlier. The reveal is closed. It's been closed for a year.
Oh.
Those vials are not really worth anything, if you ask me.
Interesting.
Unless by some reason you want to bank or speculate on the reopening. The reveal
It
was
was
just a
me.
doubt.
It was me. I bought it.
Just figure I put that out there. So be careful with those. If you buy one, it's in the hopes of a long shot of the reopening. So just thought I'd put that out there.
So Zoo, I guess I gave what could have been great advice, seems to be maybe not the best advice. I was going to say, you're welcome. Goes from you're welcome to my apologies, sir.
No, I didn't say anything till I flipped it to the next sucker for like 0.01. I checked them up, so I was like, oh Lord, this is not great.
I at least feel better that the floor being listed at 5 now. Hopefully, anyone who bought, those 2 or 3 people who bought this morning, hopefully they can at least get out for WETH bid or not a 0. But I did proper disclaimer. The theory was there, and this is also honestly, Zoo, I'm glad you got out.
It was good math. I respect it.
And
Bro,
I mean,
broke the Franklin profit right now.
And you can't tell me you didn't feel something on both sides of that. Like, it's like that's.
Oh yeah, my butt crack was sweating real quick.
Like when we say speculation, it could go to 0. Not kidding. But what like this experience this morning, just this very specific example, that was like. Not every day. That was like every hour during NFT Mania. You had moves, you had game theory, you could have speculation like this. Sometimes it resulted in not a 10. Sometimes it resulted in 1,000x. Other times you were sweating to get out for a 0.01 gain, and then other times it did go straight to 0. But Zoo, thanks for sharing. Appreciate you owning it. And my apologies for the blood pressure increase this morning, but I do appreciate you sharing and glad you made it out alive. Anything else you wanted to add to the conversation? Or just make me feel bad for my take earlier?
Oh, no, you're good. Nah. And then yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Zoo, and then we'll go back to President.
I was just going to add that the same thing goes for the unrevealed Animus eggs. As far as we know, the reveal's closed permanently, so don't ape into those either. And one last thing would just be that maybe if it is something like Yuga or Improbable that acquired CloneX or whoever the future owner is, maybe they'll help in streamlining the transition of clones to the other side, make them playable avatars in there. It's something I'm working on, but it's kind of an involved process, so I'm only able to kind of generate one at a time. But in terms of like a wide scale port of CloneX to other side, I would hope that maybe the future owner can make that like one of the big to-dos on the roadmap.
That was going to be my guess as well. One of the first things, if these new owners, even if they didn't want to reveal themselves, if they wanted to provide any sort of value or like get a little goodwill from the community, that to me is probably like the most logical, lowest hanging fruit is just get all the avatars rigged on the other side instead of like to your point. It's possible you can do it today. It's a 1-by-1 process. The guide's up top if anyone wants to jump the gun. Not everyone's going to do that, and I think going through and getting them done is kind of low hanging fruit, I would guess, for the community. But I even forgot about Anubis. I forgot about that entirely. It's just this, and some of this came post acquisition. The team really did do a lot, and I respect that a lot of it wasn't. Even though some people would say the Animus were eerily similar to the Codas. They did it. They were very creative. They did a lot along the way. The community was insanely talented on both fronts. One, the creative front, creating digital works, whether it be video teasers or just so much stuff on the timeline that was. You want to talk about like the proliferation of IP? Like for those of you that you think you see a Pudgy Penguin GIF everywhere today, the crypto Twitter timeline for a while was like that with some animated artifacts, some animated CloneX. I think when I think of animated 3D artists today, I think of Rita, who's deep in the ape ecosystem, has his G's on ape and his studio that is part of the tool set within Other Side, and he's done a lot of 3D work for a lot of others in the space. I think of Rita, and I think of Bailey, who was deep in the ecosystem, now is on the Meebits team, and the two of them are incredibly talented. They do a lot of good work. I see a lot of stuff from those two individuals that take that times thousands, at least hundreds, maybe thousands is exaggeration. It seemed like thousands because you were seeing it all over the timeline. And I'm not someone who was like, I wasn't in that Discord every day. I wasn't a active quote unquote community member, but it definitely caught my attention how talented the brand ambassadors were. And sure, some of them probably moved on, but I bet there's still quite a few that are deep in the ecosystem, or maybe not. Deep isn't the right way to put it nowadays, but just as like I enjoy going down memory lane, I'm sure those that were even more involved and more active probably are as well. And I will wrap with this since Zeus survived my earlier financial advice, and it's still some uncertainty because we don't know what all assets, we don't know the terms of the deal, we don't know what assets were included. But I am going to double down on my take that these are grails. These and I'm not saying this just to sell my own and dump mine on your head for $159. 400 of these exist in the wild, 274 owners, and they let's see the about. How far do these go back? We're going to find out. A little trip down blockchain history lane. It's on chain, so we can find out. I want to say early 21. I would have to imagine it's not even loading, so maybe we won't find out today, but I think the contract address is going to be the sandbox address. So that's not going to tell me anything. Yeah. Well, I digress. I was going to end on some fun Etherscan bits for all of you. But in all seriousness, appreciate y'all being here today. Really enjoyed the show. We will bring back our special guest. We've got a few other topics that weren't time sensitive that we'll punt till tomorrow. But we will cover them all from well, I did pin up top. If you're curious about the ICO 2.0, I alluded to it is going to be our guest after they have their launch dates. Liners Labs. There's a link. There's a pinned post up top. You can dive deeper. Also, flying through some other headlines: Rumble and Tether to launch crypto wallet for creator economy. That's interesting. Probably pretty big news worth circling back to tomorrow. Several other posts on this artifact news and more info on that. But probably, I'm sure more information will come out. When it does, we'll talk about this again. I alluded to like some AI doctors and that sort of stuff. We might hit on that tomorrow during Cold Open. We'll see what the day brings. But it's, dare I say, we're back. Not just floor price, not just price action, but seeing some activity again. And I don't know, maybe this was just a tax loss harvest and this thing gets sold in December anyways. Maybe it has something to do with people believing in digital assets and what you can do with this technology. And I will say it's one of the things that probably, like, as far as like a thesis or speculation was so fun with CloneX was how the traits were so well done, and some of the teasers that came out that ultimately didn't really come to fruition. I mean, I guess they did. It was just different than many might have thought it was going to take place. But the ability for like custom sneakers and tying in the tech to the physical items, like I mentioned, I don't know what it was for. It might have been I don't know, it doesn't matter. I bought the 5 sneakers, ended up flipping them. It was the only time I've ever flipped sneakers in my life. I just flipped them. They weren't my style. And I was a little disappointed that there was not really much incorporation of the tech. Like they didn't use blockchain technology in the actual physical sneaker. And I have to imagine, maybe I'm wrong, I have to imagine had it been even though the team stayed, had it been the founding team pre-acquisition or not being directed by the Nike bureaucracy, I have to imagine they probably would at least incorporated the tech because we saw so many creative approaches prior to that. So whether it's part of the OG team or not, I think the sale is certainly a positive one for anyone that loved that brand and wanted to see more done with it. I've loved it beyond just the art, because maybe the new buyers decide it's just on-chain art and they don't do anything with it. That's already what it was anyways. Nike had already said we're not doing it. We're sunsetting this as any sort of active collecting. It's just art. It's just not, we're done. We're out. That's so it's up. It's literally up only from where it was. If you wanted it to be something more than just on-chain art. That said, appreciate y'all being here. Really enjoyed the conversation. And the other thing that excites me talking about, because it's not like we've been talking CloneX for probably since the sale. I connected with not 1, not 2, but at least 3 new people, obviously very active in the space, been around the space for a while because they had in-depth knowledge of CloneX, which we're talking like 21, 22. Here I am thinking, I've connected with everyone who's still an active participant in crypto and especially NFTs. Nope, 3 new people who I'm excited to connect. So, and did I say your name correctly? I know I initially mispronounced it. Island? Am I saying that right? Doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, it's Illin. Like chilling like Illin.
Chilling like Illin. There you go. Thank you for the analogy. That will help. So Illin, great to connect with you. President, great to connect with you. Meryl, great to connect with you. Truly appreciate you adding to the conversation. I'm really fortunate not only get to talk about things I'm passionate about every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Almost every day, someone like the 3 of you come up that either helps educate me or reminds me of something that's critical to the conversation and truly made the show better for not just the 3 of you, everyone who added on stage today. Shout out to Eric as well. Zoo, thank you for not holding that against me. Thank you for not taking my non-financial advice as financial advice. And
I would have done the same thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why I just did it. I was like, yeah, I would have done it too.
Respect.
So I was like, well, we'll see what happens. And also, Illin's like a legend in the clone, and he's ranked 12th in the order for Zuki. So
hey,
he's a big baller in crypto
and rocking a pudgy. So Illin, I have no idea how we haven't collected, but great to finally connect with you. Same with Jack and Eric. I know we've connected previously, but don't get to hear from you every day. And Meryl, also a new one. So this is like as exciting to me as like when I say we're back. It's partially this. It's partially part of what I love so much about this space is there is so many incredible people that while we might not all run in the same circles, we really do share so much in common. And part of, I think, what I will always think kindly of as it relates to CloneX and the brand and my personal journey with it wasn't just the financial wins. Rather, I never felt PvP coming out of that community. It felt like one of the more, dare I use the word, like inclusive communities. It just like there was apes, there was penguins, and some people, CloneX became their core community. Some people it was their PFP and it was the community that they rode with every day. Others might have been like Ilan, who was deep in the Azuki. That was his home community, or maybe Pudgy's was, yet also active in there. It's just like, I don't know. For me, it seemed like one of the great crypto communities, one of the great Web3 communities that really did, it was like a melting pot of all these other PFP communities. I don't know if it was that they were 3D in nature. I don't know if it was because they were around, they weren't just a lot of the, whether even Pudgies or Cool Cats or Azukis, a lot of the ones came after the main, came after, let's say, Bored Apes, right? Whereas Artifact Team, they predated Bored Apes. Not CloneX, but that team, it was truly OGs in the space that already had somewhat of a community well before they minted CloneX. Maybe that was it. Maybe because they were part of a lot of these other communities along the way and had done, I mentioned at one point, I vividly remember the mock-up, the rendering of like a Bored Ape Yacht Club artifact sneaker, like a physical sneaker that I think the Ape Floor ran that day on that tweet. Like that's how, like, to try to, for those of you who weren't here, to try to give you a glimpse of like that mania that existed. Part of that mania really was this cross collaboration of the Web3 natives, not only aligning with their holders and their community, but other builders in the space. Like it really was. Especially now going down this trip down memory lane this morning, I know some of these teams still work with each other. I know that. It's really, I think it has regressed and it's not what it once was. Maybe it's market conditions. Maybe they have to focus on their own thing, what they're doing. There was something here when it came to the collaboration, and it wasn't just the Web3 giants. It wasn't just the Adidases of the world. It was really this cross collaboration amongst multiple communities. And it wasn't just like, oh, if you hold this, you get a free airdrop from us. Like there was more to it. And I think reflecting on CloneX and what it was at the peak, it was a shining example of a lot of this. So appreciate all of you helping me reminisce there and connecting those dots for me. Ran a little long today. I got pain in the green room. I do got to get out of here, but we'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Would love for y'all to join us. And until then, hope y'all have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.